Hello. Oh, now I can't see my chat. Good start. We here? Cool. I don't know what's going on with my live chat on my Streamlabs, but I can't see that. I'm going to have to use the YouTube pop-out chat. Hello, everyone. Sorted it out. Sorted it out. How are you all? You can hear me. You can hear me. That's good. That's good to know. Oh, no, now it's come up. Honestly, issues. Who'd want to be a streamer, eh? With all these technical issues. Unbelievable. Welcome, everyone. Hope you're well. Yes, just had a couple of audio issues there. I'll tell you what the audio issue was. The audio issue was my 2-year-old daughter. She pressed a button on my Stream Deck that when she was sitting on my lap playing around with my steering wheel earlier, pressed a button on my Stream Deck that muted everything, and I thought, why is this not working now? It was only when I realised, obviously, just a second ago. So yeah, kids. But welcome, everyone. Hope you are good. I don't have Ferrari in the poll. No, I don't have Ferrari in the poll. No, I do not. Maybe I should. But I think realistically, with what we saw from the... what we saw from the sprint race yesterday, it's most likely going to be someone from the top 4 that will win, unless there is some carnage. So that's why I've put the poll up as the top 4 drivers. Baby stuff's keeping me on my toes. I know. Any update on my sim racing? I re-downloaded iRacing last night as I had to make room for it to do some videos. But no, I will be getting back into it. I'm wearing the Ferrari shirt. I am. I've got it back out because they're starting 5th and 6th. And I'm going to say it. It can't get worse than that, right? I'm sorry. I've said it. I know. What am I doing? But welcome, everyone. If you are new here, why have we gone an hour live an hour before? Well, my missus always asks me the same thing, and the reason for that is because I like to chat to you all. I like to get a nice build up to the race. We have a look at drivers making their way round to their grid slots, because sometimes there are some technical issues there, what we have seen in the past, and some dramatic moments. And then we have a look, of course, at the strategy options for today, which are going to be really important. Strategy is going to be really important today. Those pit stop windows, we know how difficult it was to overtake yesterday. Could we see a different race today than what we saw in the sprint race? We bloody well hope so, because it was boring. But yeah, that is what we do here. And and then, of course, the race gets underway in just under an hour's time. Will there be rain? Well, we'll have a look at the weather report, but I'm going to spoil it for you now. Yes, because it is currently raining on the grid. It's raining on the grid. Last time I looked at the TV coverage, it was bright blue skies, but it's raining. Just stay raining for 43 more minutes. Stay wet for the next 43 minutes. That is a genuine surprise to me, because I looked at all the weather reports and it said no rain. It says it was going to be dry. But they're on the grid right now, holding umbrellas. They've got the tarpaulins up. It's low grip conditions. Come on! Come on! Let's go. Don't rain bait us. Don't rain bait us. It said only 20% chance of rain as well. So it's raining before, which is interesting. Come on. Nico Rosberg has just said, I hear 80 million a year for Max Verstappen. So that's a 10 mil pay rise for Max Verstappen. Hey, Kev, good to see you, mate. Yes, welcome, everyone. The rain report has changed from 0 to 13% to now 40%. It saved it till last. This is going to be interesting. Come on. Come on. You can see here with the race control messages, low awnings may be used. Low grip, delta active, low grip conditions. We're getting edged by the weather. We've been edged by the weather all season. We've been edged by it all weekends. So come on. Finally, we're going to get some. Well, I said we've got some, but are we going to get some? Is it going to last to the end of the... Is it going to last basically until the race gets underway? That is what we want to know. Let's just check the weather. Zandvoort. It's 21%. I mean, obviously, I'm just looking at the BBC weather, so it's not very accurate. This is just because it's the easiest one to type into a website. But you can see here, 21% at the moment, 29%, and then 55%. But it is raining right now over Zandvoort, apparently. I mean, that's not very accurate, is it, there? But... Good evening, Rod. Good evening. What happened to my data? My data's there. There it is. Is the rain expected to continue, Angela? I don't know. I mean, this is a surprise to me that we've even got rain because I checked the weather report beforehand and it said there wasn't any. So I was expecting a dry race today, but the fact that there's rain right now, hopefully it sticks around because I think we need it. The race strategy will be interesting. It will indeed, yes. It's going to be interesting anyway because of just how much importance there is with the lack of overtaking we've seen over the course of the weekend. But yeah, hopefully we haven't seen these cars, particularly the fact that they haven't had any wet running this weekend, let alone the whole year, is going to make things interesting. Start on intermediates. I think so. And these are all like brand new intermediates and stuff as well. The rain is going to be stopped in... the rain is gone, be stopped in 30 minutes. Hopefully not. But this is the nature of Zandvoort. It is only like 200 metres or so away from the coast. So we've been unfortunate in the sense of that rain has drifted in off of the coast too late in the sessions or in between race sessions, like overnight. But it seems to have finally hit. So drivers are out there doing their sighting laps, their reconnaissance laps, guys. This is them basically doing a systems check, making their way round the grid, getting a feel for the car and the track conditions, and then they'll line up on the grid. Let's see if there's any maybe issues from some drivers here and some teams as they make their way around this circuit. Remember, there's lots of painted surface areas here at Zandvoort. If you remember Lewis Hamilton, he took too much curb. He went onto the painted surface, which was wet last year at turn 3, which meant he went in straight on into the barrier. And that's going to be interesting for these drivers to kind of like, they've been driving in obviously the dry all weekend. They've been taking that line to the extreme. Through turn 3, trying to get as high as possible so that they can whip themselves round. And, well, you don't even want to touch that painted surface at all, or that white line, because, yeah, you will lose grip and go straight on. So drivers need to be careful through there. And, of course, there's other curbs as well, which you normally would be attacking here at Zandvoort. But looking right now, and it's the best... The best way to describe this track surface right now is like greasy. It looks very greasy. Ooh. It's not like... There's not like big spray coming up from the drivers. There is as they get to the top of the hill at turn 7. There's quite a bit of spray. But it looks like that greasy, slippery, horrible surface to be on right now. Oh. Where are the radio messages? I don't know. They're not working for me. I don't know. I don't know if it's the version of... yeah, I really don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. So apologies for that. But what I will do, because the radio messages aren't working, I think I will reduce, like, I'll present kind of the championship standings. Maybe we can do that. And you can see what the permutations are as the championship as the drivers move on at the moment. So you can kind of see the top 5 there in the Drivers' Championship. Yeah, we'll do that instead, which is a shame. I don't know why they're not working, but we can do that today. Is it going to rain? It's raining at the moment. How do you get rid of the chat and rotate your screen? What, on YouTube? The button, depends on what device you're watching on. But if you're rotating the screen on obviously a tablet or on YouTube, you want to press if you tap the screen in the right-hand corner of like the actual screen of me, there should be like a little square, and you tap that and it makes it go full screen. Bearman says it's too wet for slicks at the moment. Undoubtedly, it's too wet for slicks at the moment. This is gonna be interesting. Max on full wets is odd. Looks into for sure. Yeah, it is. It's probably him wanting to get a feel. They just want to get a feel for things out there, I guess. This is a brand new intermediate tyre this year, so maybe we will see the wet compound tyre be used more so than the intermediates. I don't know. You know how Pirelli are with their wet tyres. They've always been a bit suspect, haven't they, the past few years? Is it going to be a wet race? It's definitely going to start. I mean, on the banking, it is very wet. It's very wet and misty. So, yeah, this definitely is an intermediate race start. At the moment, it is not going to dry by the time we start this race, which is in just over 35 minutes' time. We are going to get a wet start to this race, ladies and gentlemen. What a turn of events. What a turn of events. Oh, Liam Lawson. No, Lawson's just gone off. He's okay, but he went off through the gravel at the second to last corner. The rear just swapped on him. Good catch from the New Zealander, and he's been able to keep that car going, thankfully at a slow rate of knots, so hopefully he hasn't done any damage to the underside of that Red Bull. But oh dearie me, Liam Lawson, his race nearly coming to an end before it even begun there in that tricky turn 13, where we have seen multiple drivers go off there this weekend already. From the wind. The wind's still obviously going to play a factor here. But, wow. Very slippery track conditions. Antonelli, the first half is pretty dry for intermediate tyres, but the second half is wet. Quite wet. So, that's the conundrum they're in at the moment. Do they use the intermediate tyres or do they use the wets? Kimmy's saying it's very wet out there. In the second half, and I can see that from the TV coverage as well, with all the spray that is currently being thrown up. What happened to Stuffeyy? I'm here. Is there damage to Lawson? No, I think he's okay, but we won't know. But he went into the gravel at quite a slow speed. So Max is back out on inters. He has come off of those wet compound tyres and is onto inters. Oh, that's a very, very valid point that Bernie has said on the TV coverage, is that they aren't experiencing turn 1, the drivers at the moment, because of course they have to make their way through the pit lane. So turn 1 in itself is not going to have any dispersed water. There's not going to be a line there for the drivers. They're going to be heading into that turn 1, all very close proximity to each other, with a lot of standing water, maybe. Because obviously every corner that they're going through now, they're dispersing water, creating a drier line. What I'm hoping for, though, here, is that it stays wet enough for long enough. Because the problem with Zandvoort is that a circuit like this, where it is difficult to overtake, is that you then get just one dry line form. And then that means that it's very difficult to, when you go to eventually slicks, there is no possibility of kind of overtakes happening. So we kind of want this to be a wet race throughout. So we want more rain to fall in the race. That turn 13 is looking a bit slippery, you know. That turn 13. Just watched Kimmy and... Is that Kimmy or George? It's just watched George Russell go through there through turn 13. And on that change of direction, the weight shift, as they throw the car into turn 13, the rear is snappy. It is twitchy. We've seen Liam also go off there. I think that's a corner that could cause some problems in the early stages of this race. Rain's starting to come down. They're showing the weather radar, and it's rain! Yes! Woo! Rain! I've never been so excited for it to rain. I'm looking at the weather radar, and it's thick. Thick rain. Bring it on. Rain baited no more.
Delay the race.
It won't delay the race. Don't say such things. It's going to delay the race. No, do not jinx it, Mrs. Stuffey. No. Do not give the FIA any ideas. And shush, Connor. Shush. Don't say it. Don't say it. The FIA, let them race. Let them race. Deary me, deary me. So yes, if you're tuning in, we have rain. We have rain. Oh, I've never been so happy. Because I was like, oh, I really hope we get some carnage tomorrow. Safety cars or something to spice it up because of what we saw in the sprint race. It's looking like it was going to be a boring one-stop race. I mean, let's do it. Drivers are making their way round. We'll just wait for Bortoletto to make his way round to the starting position. But we'll have a look. We'll have a look at what the strategy options were in dry conditions. Look, the dry tyre may still be a factor. I think with it being starting a wet race, if it does go to a dry race, it's going to be quite comfortably probably onto a soft compound tyre. But we'll have a look at what those strategy options were. Have a look at, of course, the important pit stop lost time, etc. And go from there. So, you've just refreshed the stream, and that's because I was late, but there you go. Right, welcome everybody. If you can please hit that like and subscribe button because we are swiftly... Where is it? There is it. My sub counter up there. Let's move it down here. We are fast approaching 90,000 subscribers. Got that off the tip of my tongue there. But yeah, seems like everyone has made it without issue. The only driver who did have a bit of issue was Liam Lawson as he went through the gravel at turn 13. Turn 13 looks a bit interesting. Looks very interesting. But let's have a look at, shall we, at the now pretty much defunct and useless strategy options that were going to be relevant to today. But if you are just joining us, it is raining. It is raining. We have a yellow flag in the middle sector there through turns 11 and 12. So maybe someone else has just gone for the gravel there. But I think we're going to have lots of offs. This is the first time we're going to see any team other than the drivers who did a bit of practice in Barcelona, which was Ferrari and Red Bull. We are going to see a double yellow out there as well. What's going on? Are they obviously out there sweeping some rubbish away? But this is going to be this has flipped the race on its head. Absolutely flipped the race on its head. We don't know how these intermediate tyres are going to fare. We don't know how these wet tyres are going to fare. These drivers also don't have experience of driving in the wet weather conditions. Only a couple of drivers do. We don't know, obviously, the visibility that is going to be available here as well. I expect the visibility to be better than the previous generation of cars because they're just obviously lighter, smaller, don't create the downforce the same way. But this is a wet race. Come on! All we need now is for it to just get underway. Just start the race before the FIA absolutely shit their pants. Right, excuse my language there, but right, let's have a look at those, defunct strategy options. Just moves. And we'll have a look at, of course, the championship standings as well. Or just got to jig some stuff about. So, right. Move you guys there. So, this is now totally irrelevant. This is totally irrelevant with the wet weather conditions now. It was looking like it was going to be an easy one-stop race after what we saw from the sprint race yesterday, where we saw Charles Leclerc basically shatter anyone's expectations of a two-stop by going 28 laps on a set of used compound tyres, and comfortably so as well. He was better on those soft compound tyres than Lando Norris was on those mediums, and yeah, that really did, unfortunately, shatter, I think, everyone's kind of excitement and expectation for the race today, until it started raining unexpectedly. So this is totally irrelevant now. I do think, as I just touched upon, that if the track does dry and we get no more rain as the rain progresses, and we see that dry line forming and there's a transition to the slick tyre, it will be the soft compound tyre. I think in these conditions, it makes probably sense to go onto that soft. The medium, maybe you could go on the medium. I just don't think with the hard it's going to be a viable strategy today to go onto that, because the track isn't going to dry up that quick enough to go onto the hard. It's 72 laps here today, so I think the soft compound tyre will be comfortably able to do 30 laps. If they get halfway through the race where it's then a transition to slicks, the soft will probably be the most viable option. Looking at that tyre curve as well of the drop-off, you can see there is a point of like, look at how long, up until like 25 laps or so, around 28 laps, that's where they then foresee, or Pirelli foresaw, that the soft compound tyre would then completely fall off. I don't think that line is like dramatic enough, being a soft compound tyre. I think those gaps should be so much more wider, and that's the problem with the soft compound tyre compared to the medium here this weekend. If it's dry conditions, I think we probably would have seen a comfortable one-stop with the soft to the medium, which is very, very rare in Formula 1, and I don't think that should ever really be a viable option. Soft tyre selections, basically, Hamilton, Leclerc and Verstappen interestingly have a brand new set of softs available. Piastri, Antonelli, Russell and Norris do not. So that could play an important role when it comes to the latter stages of the race. If that dry line does start to form, they are on fresh rubber compared to those on used compound tyres. Lawson, Bortoletto and Lindblad don't have that. Gasly and Tsunoda do have a brand new set. Hulkenberg and Colapinto, so that could be useful to them as well in the latter stages of this race. But it is definitely going to be a wet start to this race. If they use the softs and burn through them, what the impact for future races? For future races, it wouldn't affect them. No, because you don't carry tyres over. You get a set amount of allocation per race weekend to use. So it's not like if you save tyres this race, you get to use an extra set to use for next race. That's not how it works. First race this year that Kimi will be feeling the pressure. He's not great in the rain. Have you seen his first ever race in Formula 1 at Australia? He's tremendous in the rain. He's very good in the rain. And in Formula 2 as well. He won both of his races in Formula 2 in wet conditions. Hungary was a wet start to a dry race. But yeah. Right, so race simulation pace. And this is interesting. Ferrari's race pace is better than McLaren's. And I think that's indicative, of course, from what we saw in the sprint race yesterday, because McLaren did fall off, didn't they, on those mediums? And I wonder, I think these wet weather conditions will actually help McLaren. I think it will, because they've been able to get temperature into those tyres a lot quicker than everyone else this weekend. I said it in my Saturday roundup video yesterday, if you didn't get to watch that, but McLaren are one of the only teams this weekend who have gone straight out and done only a single out lap and then gone on a push lap. Everyone this weekend has done 2 out laps to get those tyres into the right temperature window. McLaren have got it there instantly. And when everyone else is doing 2 out laps and you're able to do that like in 1, that's not necessarily a good thing, because that means that you're putting too much energy for the tyres. And I think we saw that in their pace on the medium yesterday, which is unlike McLaren, we started to see them fall off. They fell off. Piastri fell off. Norris fell off. He was able to hold off Antonelli, but I think if there's one more lap, he would have been taken eventually by our championship leader. So the wet weather conditions, getting temperature into those tyres on the wet, or the intermediates, that will fare very positively for McLaren. Ferrari do have good pace, but Mercedes, quite undoubtedly, I think, are the strongest overall this weekend. Are there any drivers that are truly a lot worse in the rain? Like, sure, Lando bad, Brazil 2024, but since then, most of his wet races have been good. Lando's very good in the wet. There are some drivers, I think you would say, aren't as great in the wet. Someone like Gasly will be looking to capitalise here this weekend. Obviously, Lindblad's an unknown. You've got Ocon, who likes the wet weather conditions, always seems to be able to get a result. So I don't think there's anyone who like truly struggles, but I think there's definitely drivers who excel in the rain, and you can look at their results when we have had wet weather conditions. Like, they've always got they've been able to make the difference, and that's the thing with wet weather conditions, is that it's not a complete nullifier of performance, but it enables the driver to really make the difference, because you feel confident and you can brake later and find those dry lines, and with your know-how and build that confidence up, you can quite easily make up a considerable amount of time on the cars around you. And then, of course, this is definitely relevant today, the pit stop loss time. Very short pit stop loss time here at Zandvoort, 18 seconds. So, yeah, very short. If there is a safety car in VSC, which we have seen 60% of the time, we have seen a safety car in the last 7 years. We've had one red flag, of course. But yeah, very high percentage of safety cars. I think we're going to see that here this weekend with these conditions, with us racing in the wet for the first time. We're going to see some drivers off into the gravel. That gravel is deep. It's difficult to get out of. And I think we're going to see some beached cars as we are on the beach, only about 200 metres away from the coast of the North Sea. I think, yeah, we're going to see some drivers get beached, and that will mean recovery vehicles out on track. So 18.1 seconds is a normal pit stop window time, so that's the gaps that you're looking for teams today. And then stationary, well, if you could pit under a safety car in VSC, it's basically half the time. You gain 9 seconds on a car who is pitting under green flag conditions. So that's a significant advantage pitting under the safety car in VSC. And that is it, really, guys. That is it. Weather conditions, it says 20% chance of rain. Well, it's 100% chance at the moment because it is raining out there on the circuit. It's not heavy rain, but it's enough rain. It's enough rain to make that track wet enough for intermediate tyres. That is for sure. There we go. There we go. Move everything back. And what we will do, unfortunately today, guys, we do not have any AI radio transcription, so apologies. We do not have any radio messages. I am going to keep the driver's standings of the top 5 in the top right-hand corner for you, so you can see the permutations of the driver's standings and obviously the constructors. But let's have a look at those, shall we? Because we have Antonelli on 224 points. He extended his championship lead by 3 points over Lewis Hamilton yesterday in the sprint race. George Russell did close that gap to Hamilton, but maintained his gap to Antonelli because of where Antonelli fished, and Russell obviously winning that sprint race. The Charles Leclerc slightly closed up the gap in 145 points there. Norris 134, Verstappen 112. Gasly now goes back ahead of Liam Lawson on 43 points. Both on 43 points, but is ahead of Lawson on countback. Yuki Tsunoda is now the 23rd driver in this championship standings. We now have 23 drivers in the championship standings. Can Yuki score points today? What an achievement that will be for him for what already is a brilliant race weekend. Mercedes in the Constructors, 392 to Ferrari's 316. That Constructors title is still there for the taking, I think, with Ferrari and Mercedes. I think there's definitely still an opportunity. McLaren 230, Red Bull 180, and then the best of the rest currently is Red Bull by 6 points over Alpine. So, Antonelli needs temperature generation for his wet weather style. He'll get track limits issues, and he's not a Max or Lewis gold standard. Well, I don't know. I think that's too early to say. I think it's too early to say. Ultimately, proof will be in the pudding. We've seen no one drive these cars in wet weather conditions. You may be brilliant in the wet, but these cars are very different in how they operate compared to previous generations. The extra amount of torque that these cars are put in through the rear wheels. We've seen some twitches through turn 13 already. We've seen all it takes is for that AI bloody algorithm, whatever it is, to just put a bit more energy, a bit more torque than necessary through the rear wheels than what you've applied to the throttle. And in these wet weather conditions, that can cause you absolute carnage. So lots of things can happen here today is, why is Fernando Alonso on the move? Why is it showing Fernando Alonso's on the move? That's odd. Interesting. We'd love to see the first time this season a rain race. I know, we all are. We are all looking forward to it. So what I would say is that, like, it's not tipping it down. It's not tipping it down, but it's like a consistent, like, I'd say now it's like spitting. So it's not, yeah. Right now it's like spitting. There's umbrellas are kind of coming down, but there is rain forecast. There is rain coming over the race circuit. So yeah, it's definitely a wet weather start. How long it will stay wet for? That'll be the question. Hello, drivers. Good to see you. Rain clouds are gone, so if the wind doesn't change, there'll be no rain. Which is the average lap they pit usually on inters? I don't know. The difference here will be not how long they can take the inters for. It will be obviously when that change over to slicks is. So that'll be the key moment. There's more rain. There's more rain is unlikely for the race. Is that true, Jono? Is that true? Is Liam good in wet conditions? He is, yeah. He's one of those drivers who has, whenever there has been wet weather conditions, he has excelled and got decent results from. Right. Is it going to be wet conditions? To the start of the race, yes, it is wet conditions for the start of the race. You will see those intermediate tyres undoubtedly on every single driver's car when they take off those tyre blankets. Will we have rain further into the race? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Hopefully. I think Yuki is a lot more likely to score points now. Everyone is new to the rain in these cars, so Yuki will not be as affected by or disadvantaged by inexperience within these new cars. Yeah, maybe. I mean, some will be seeing it as an opportunity. Some will be seeing it as like, oh, I wish it was a dry start. I think Lando would probably be hoping it was a dry start. But yeah, don't really know. Pit stop loss time here is 18 seconds, Ming. 18.1 seconds, and then pitting under the VSC or safety car is an advantage of 9 seconds. So that is basically half the amount of time to take the pit stop here. So yeah, significant advantage timing it to be under the VSC safety car. We've seen that play an important role this year in race results. So yeah, if drivers can utilise that, then they 100% will. But there's no point utilising it at the start of the race when the risk of rain is 30% chance risk of rain for the race. So I'll take that. I'll take that. We've had a 20. It was 20% chance before the race even got underway, and we've had that. Why is Alonso on the track? He's not actually on the track. It's just a GPS thing. But we're over 89,500 subscribers. Thank you, everyone. Trying to hit 90,000 today. Hopefully, we can achieve that. And then it is full steam ahead to 100,000 subscribers. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you. Turn 1 is going to be spin cycle, I think. No line of entry. This could be good. It is going to be interesting, yes, because Turn 1 has had no cars travel through it on those reconnaissance laps. Because, of course, you have to go through the pit lane. You can't go down obviously, the start-finish line, because that's where everyone's lining up. All the engineers are. So that Turn 1 is going to be, yes, very interesting. We could see someone go into the back of someone, or they go into, the gravel there. We've seen a few moments, of course, into Turn 1. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Ooh. Oh, that's something I've never heard before. Do you know the Dutch national anthem is the oldest national anthem in the world? Goes back to 1570. Interesting. I think I might need the investigations tracker and the track limits tracker today on my right-hand side, just to keep myself informed. Wow. Nico Rosberger said it's already dry already. The track is drying up already. Damn. Don't do that. Don't do that. Where's the rain? It's going to be... Yeah, we're going to change the slicks very quickly. Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. But at least it'll be a wet start. It's stopped raining at the moment. It's stopped raining. Lois said in a post, pray for rain. It'll be interesting if rain occurred. Yeah, I mean, look, we could see, hopefully, we see that sort of race where it goes... What will be interesting is it starts slick, wet tyres, then it goes to dryers, and then the rain comes in again. How good a race will that be? Can the Aston Martins be competitive midfield today after engine upgrade? It doesn't look like it, no. It seems like that they've got issues still with the update. It's had kind of adverse effects on the overall chassis again. You know those vibrations that they were experiencing at the start of the year? Probably to do with the housing of the engine. It seems that, yeah, they're experiencing those again. Fernando Alonso is not happy at all over the last couple of sessions in relation to that. So, yeah, not been able to utilise the updates that they've got. Why is Alonso isn't just there? He is okay. It's just a GPS thing. If Yuki scores a few points today, he deserves a seat in F1. I mean, yeah, I think his phone will be a bit busy. Maybe he'll have a lot of text messages and he'll have a lot of phone calls to deal with over the next coming days. With a solid performance today, he doesn't even have to score points today. If he finishes where he's starting, that is a great weekend, an unbelievable weekend, and especially if he finishes not that far behind Arvid Lindblad as well. But even so, like for him to jump in, I said it in my roundup video last night. Look, the fact is, he's been able to do this with like no prep time. Imagine what he could do if he does have prep time. And also, you have to remember, yes, Yuki. Look, he jumped into that second seat of Red Bull last year, and as everyone did, they struggled. Jumped into the Poison Chalice, but the start of last year in those regs, Yuki was like the best of the rest. He was brilliant in the first two race weekends of last year. And who knows, maybe he could have had quite comfortably been the best of the rest driver last year and had one of his best seasons ever in had his best season in Formula 1 last year if he stayed in the V-Cup. But when the Red Bull seat, regardless of obviously it's, obviously it's going to be difficult, regardless, you have to take that opportunity. But unfortunately for him, it has meant that, yeah, he was removed after primarily the Honda relationship coming to an end. What do you think of Mercedes' engine problem? Because they use their fourth engine and how it can affect the championship battle. Well, this is it. You can make there's always a balance that needs to be had when it comes to engineering. You can make something that is of high performance, but then you have to sacrifice some reliability. And I think that's what Mercedes have done. You can make something that is super reliable, but if you make it super reliable, you're going to sacrifice performance. So that's clearly what Mercedes have done, is that they have pushed the limits of that engine. They're getting the most performance out of it, but in turn, it's reliable. Compare that to Ferrari. Ferrari is super reliable with their engine. I don't think they've had any engine issues. The one like DNF that Charles has had, which has been mechanical, I think was a brake issue in Barcelona. I don't think it was anything related to the engine. Like, they actually haven't had an engine breakdown this year yet, Ferrari. But we know that they're down on horsepower, and it's not as quick and as powerful as the Mercedes power unit or even the Red Bull power unit. So that's the trade-off. And I think Mercedes right now are happy with that trade-off because they look at where they are in the championship. Will dirty and clean side play a role since it has rained? Not now. So because it's rained, it has washed away. It has evened out the track surface. Because the reason why obviously we call it the dirty side is because of course there's no rubber on it, and if anything it can switch. This is what happens in the rain. This is why you see them take different racing lines, because normally that level of rubber, or that line of rubber that has been laid down on the racing line, would normally provide you grip on the slick tyres to obviously grip into and get a hold of, actually acts as an extra layer of surface between the track surface and the rubber and the normal grip conditions now. Oh, normal grip conditions. It couldn't stay wet for 10 more minutes. Deary me. We'll see. I still don't think it's going to be slick tyres. I still think it's going to be intermediates, and then they're going to go onto the slicks. I wonder if anyone will risk slicks, though. You can't risk slicks. You can't. Those banking sections are still going to be too wet. Surely. Only a couple of minutes to find out what tyres they're going to be starting on. But going back to it, yeah, so what happens, obviously, in the wet weather conditions is that rubber, I mean, everyone's had a school rubber or whatever, right? Like, it gets slippery when it's wet. That's exactly what it is when it's laid down on the ground. So that's why you see them take different racing lines where the rubber isn't laid down in the wet weather conditions, because you're trying to find that extra contact to the track surface and find that extra level of grip, which is what we call in the wet line. So, yeah, it can kind of switch, and really being on the dirty side of the racetrack can actually provide you more grip off of the start line than it can on the racing line. But if anything, it balances itself out because it washes away. Rain kind of washes away, not all of it, but some of the rubber that has been laid down, and, of course, all of the dirt and dust and stuff that you'd see on the dirty side of the racetrack. Colder tyres, damp first corner. Yeah, I don't think there'll be slicks first off. I think we're going to see intermediate tyre starts with intermediate tyre start with probably a quick pit stop early on onto a set of hards or softs or something. We're going to see. I mean, it could be not intermediates for very long. This could force us into that two-stop that we were thinking wasn't going to happen. It could be a two-stop today, because if it dries up quick enough, then it makes sense to go onto the slicks. And if we're going to change onto the slicks in like 10 laps, I don't think the hard compound tyres would be able to do 62 laps. So that really, if it is drying, we want within the first 10, 15 laps for there to be a pit stop and for that transition period, because otherwise it means we're going to end up seeing a boring one stop. Praying for an Antonelli blinder. Where do you think Bearman could go if he wants to stay in the Ferrari ecosystem, but there's no seat at Ferrari? I know. Maybe there's a negotiation with another team, but I don't know. If he moves further up the grid, Bearman, I don't know if they would keep him tied. I don't know whether a team would be accepting of keeping Bearman tied into that Ferrari ecosystem. It's difficult. Would Alpine want that? No, probably not. Would Audi want that? Definitely not. Williams is tied up now. I think Haas is his only option. This is the problem. Safety car lights. So, what is the safety car out there for? Oh! Are we seeing slicks? Surely not. No one's on intermediates. You're kidding me. No one is on intermediates at all. Oh my goodness. Is it that dry? Has it dried out that quickly? Surely not. Surely not. That is wild. How has the track dried out that quickly? I am baffled. Surely... I'm still not convinced. I still think there's going to be a few slippery moments. I think we're going to have an early safety car. Undoubtedly, I think we're going to see someone in the gravel in the first two laps. How is the track not... There's no way this track is 100% dry. There's no way. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it. And on that note, I need a quick toilet break. I suggest you guys do the same. We are just over 3 minutes away until the formation lap gets underway. And then we will find out what this track surface is like. Norris, Russell, Antonelli and Piastri starting on the mediums. Everyone behind them starting on the softs. Mediums, Gasly, mediums, Colapinto and Ocon only. Bottas and Perez starting on the hard compound tyre, and the caddies starting at the back of the grid. So very, very interesting set of circumstances. We'll be back in just a jiffy, guys. Suggest you guys do the same. Here we go. Here we go. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. What is in store for us today? Did I end the poll, by the way? Did I end that earlier on? Seems like I did. Oh. Right, so safety car lights are on, but it's not going to be a safety car start. So, yeah, not quite sure what's going to happen there. But everyone, so Norris, Russell, Antonelli and Piastri starting on the mediums. Hamilton on brand new softs. Leclerc on used softs. Verstappen is on brand new softs. Lawson on used. Bortoletto used. Lindblad used. Gasly on mediums. So, look, we are predicting that it's going to be a one-stop race in dry conditions. It seems it's dry conditions now. But I'm still not convinced that the track is 100% dry. But we'll see. Maybe more rain could be on the way. Fingers crossed. Hopefully there is more rain on the way. Of course, if you can hit that like and subscribe button, guys, we are in for, I think, a stonker of a race. Why is the safety car at the front there? Are we going to get a safety car? Right, so I'm literally looking at the TV footage. The banking of the last corner is wet. It is wet. Surely that, I mean, I cannot see how everyone is on slicks and how there won't be. They're going to be tiptoeing their way around that last corner. Tiptoeing. I think this is so. I think what's going to happen is that we are going to have a safety car start here, or safety car formation lap. We're going to have a safety car formation lap, and they're going to see obviously what the track conditions are like. As we are away here, we are underway for this formation lap, but I still think there's still enough corners here at this track that is wet. The banking of the last corner is very wet. So it could be that 90% of this circuit is dry, but 10% of it is wet, and that is going to make things very, very interesting. But we are underway here on the formation lap of the Dutch Grand Prix, where it has been raining in the lead up to this race, and surprisingly, everyone is on a set of slick compound tyres, either the mediums or softs, unless you're the two caddies who are on the hards. But let's have a run through of your starting grid for today. It is Lando Norris on pole position for the second race weekend in a row after Hungary before the summer break. George Russell, our sprint race winner yesterday, is starting P2. Kimi Antonelli, our championship leader, is in P3, with Oscar Piastri P4. Mercedes power units being the strongest performing cars here this weekend. Hamilton and Leclerc line up alongside each other in 5th and 6th. They're on the soft compound tyres, with Verstappen, the home favourite, is in P7. But unfortunately, in a Red Bull car that isn't favourite here this weekend, he lines up with his teammate for this weekend, the stand-in, Liam Lawson. A great job from him qualifying, only just over a 10th behind Max. Bortoletto starts in P9, looking for another great performance here in the Audi, with Lindblad in P10. Gasly is in P11, with Yuki Tsunoda, brilliant, again qualifying in P12, where he qualified for the sprint race. Hulkenberg is in P13 with Colapinto in 14th, both Alpines starting on the mediums. Ocon is in 15th on the mediums, with Albon and Sainz in 16th and 17th. Alonso and Stroll in 18th and 19th in the Aston Martin, where the updates aren't quite having the desired effect they were hoping for this weekend. And Behrman in 20th, with Bottas and Perez, who he just mentioned at the beginning, start on the hard compound tyre, with I think Perez starting from the pit lane. Confirmation that we are going to be getting a stand-in start here, which is very, very positive. Very, very positive. But looking at the formation lap, a lot of the track, to be fair, I am so surprised at how dry this track has got. But there are, I tell you what, turn 13 and turn 14, the last couple of corners here look sketchy. They look slippery. That is for sure. And that is going to make things very interesting. Turn 13, we've already seen some wobbles here this weekend in dry conditions, let alone where it is looking very greasy out there. Of course, the dry line will form through there pretty quickly, but will people be able to make it through there safely before that dry line does form? We will see. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you are new here, please hit that like and subscribe button. We are just seconds away from getting this Dutch Grand Prix underway here. 72 laps here at Zandvoort for the last time. Who knows if we will return? Who knows when the Dutch GP will be returning? The Orange Army are out in full force, and Max Verstappen is going to try his absolute utmost to give them something to cheer about as they line up at the back of the grid there. Sergio Perez makes his way through the pit lane. It is go at the Dutch Grand Prix. Lando Norris seems to have got a decent start as they make their way down into the first corner. But this is the first time they've made their way through this first corner, as it seems that there's a change of positions there for a few drivers, as Norris does still lead with Antonelli ahead of his teammate. Oscar Piastri loses the position to Charles Leclerc, who's up 2 places into P4. But Antonelli P2 from Lando Norris in P1. George Russell is P3 with Leclerc in 4th. Piastri 5th with Hamilton in 6th. Verstappen stays where he is and Lawson does as well. As Bortoletto, is there an issue for the Audi driver as he's already behind his teammate there? He's down 5 places. Sonoda and Lindblad swapping positions there as he's in P11. Yuki Tsunoda, he's up in position as well ahead of Franco Colapinto. Bortoletto back past his teammate, but it is Norris as they make their way through the middle section for the first time. Norris leads from Antonelli with Russell in 3rd. Charles Leclerc is 4th with Piastri in 5th. Hamilton in 6th. Stroll changing positions there between Ollie Behrman as he gains the position back, but looking at the race restart here as oh my goodness me, one of the V-Carbs got onto the grass down into the first corner, or was that actually Liam Lawson or Max Verstappen? I don't know which car it was. It was definitely a Red Bull type car. As overtake mode has been enabled as we head through the treacherous turn 13 and 14 for the first time here. As watching the race start here, many drivers avoiding, of course, that painted white line on the banking. But Lando Norris, it seems that everyone has made their way comfortably through the last couple of corners here as Norris leads from Antonelli. And Antonelli already on the back. There is a yellow flag as Verstappen is off. Verstappen has gone round, I believe, out of the last corner. The home favourite, the last time at the Dutch Grand Prix for Max Verstappen, and I think I said it's treacherous, and he has gone round, I believe, out of the last corner. Watching the replay now, what has happened to the Red Bull driver? Is it just a mechanical issue? Oh, it's a biggie! Oh my goodness me! Bortoletto is caught up in that as well, and Audi went round, and Max Verstappen has hit the barrier hard off of the wet surface. The left-hand side is completely ruined. I think Max is okay. Understandably, it's a red flag, but debris has been thrown up everywhere. I said it was a concern, that last corner, and dearie me, the driver, Max says he's okay. Thankfully, Max says he's okay. But wow, his Red Bull car just went round on him as he put the throttle down out of the last corner. And wow, that is a big one for Max Verstappen at the end of the first lap. He is okay, ladies and gents. He has got out of the car safely. To a round of applause to the Orange Army. But this is not how he wanted his Dutch Grand Prix to end. So watching the replay here, so much dust. Oh, dearie me. He just, just a shame. Nothing he did himself. Just on that wet patch in front. And he's applying the throttle on the car. And the rear just goes on him. Also, Gabriel Bortoletto, I think it was, he spun round due to avoiding a stricken wheel of Max Verstappen. Watching the replay here as to who went round there. It was Bortoletto, not even affected by Max Verstappen, had exactly the same issue. Gabriel Bortoletto spun a good few car lengths behind him, hit the same contact patch and went round as well. But he did not hit the barrier like Max Verstappen, which has brought out this red flag. But Gabriel Bortoletto able still to continue. So it's basically that last corner. The majority of the racetrack is dry. He walks away stricken, Max Verstappen, head down, because this is the last time. We don't know when we'll be returning to the Netherlands for a Dutch Grand Prix, let alone at Zandvoort. And there we go. It happened right where you said it would. I said it. That last corner looked treacherous. It looked super treacherous. But there we go. That is it. If you're just joining us, Max Verstappen is out of the Dutch Grand Prix. Everyone starting on the on the dry compound tyres here, and that last corner looked still very damp and wet. And well, Max Verstappen, no fault of his own, just lost the rear as he's applying the throttle there through the corner, following the cars ahead of him, and it just went round. He was unfortunate like Gabriel Bortoleto, who was fortunate that he spun round and didn't hit the barriers, but Max did, and that Red Bull is not looking pretty. Not looking pretty. Max is okay, though. Max is okay. So there we go. Deary me. Oh, my goodness me. They've got a close-up there of Max Verstappen's car. But dearie me, there'll be no return for a Dutch GP for many years. I wonder how many fans will stay now, because this will there be an exodus of Max Verstappen fans? Hopefully not, because it is the last time they will get to see Formula One at the Netherlands and at Zandvoort for who knows how long. But yeah, it's never great when the home favourite does go out on the first lap, and of course due to no fault of his own. Max not a fault, but he applied the throttle. Well, the reason what I'm saying for that is that he went through the same line as what the cars behind him did. So it's just a case of, yeah, he is just, I don't know. I'm not going to be too harsh on him there. Not going to be too harsh on him. So watching the race restart, who actually went onto the grass? There was a Red Bull car that went onto the grass, and it was Max. Oh, Max went onto the grass. Wow. So basically what happened at the start, Charles got such a great start that he launched himself up, forced his own teammate out wide, as I think it was Piastri came to cover off the fast-starting Charles Leclerc. He came round very quick, and oh my goodness me, Liam Lawson. Whoa, Liam Lawson actually decided to try and swoop around the outside of Max Verstappen on the banking of turn 3. And it was very brave from Liam Lawson. That could have ended up very, very bad for Liam Lawson. But that was very brave from the New Zealander, just watching the race recently. But yeah, Max had to get onto the grass because of that, then found himself under attack from his own teammate, trying to swoop it around the outside, nearly made contact with his teammate there. They're actually banged wheels. Wow, Max and Liam actually banged wheels at the first time of asking into turn 3. He held onto the position, but of course doesn't hold onto the position anymore. What did Charles... I'm watching Lewis Hamilton's onboard. My goodness, Charles got the absolute worldie of a race start. Absolute worldie of a race start compared to his teammate and Oscar Piastri. And that's why Hamilton got pushed over and in turn also inadvertently forced Max Verstappen off, who was behind him there. But dearie me, so they all experienced wheel spin. So George experienced on the dirty side of the racetrack, Piastri and George Russell experienced wheel spin off of the start line, whereas Charles was the only one who didn't. And he just, obviously on used soft compound tyres, maybe he prepped those tyres better than the other two. They was on mediums, weren't they? Sorry, Piastri and George Russell on those mediums did not get the launch as what Charles Leclerc did on used softs, and he just came straight past. And Liam Lawson there, very aggressive on Max Verstappen, and he ended up having to slot in behind his teammate before he eventually crashed into the last corner. But wow, that race start, lots of wheel banging there, lots of close racing. That could have ended up very, very bad for more drivers than just Max Verstappen out of the last corner. But there we go. If you're just joining us, guys, what has happened? Well, Max Verstappen, with the rain happening at the on the lead up to this race, and it's drying out, but not drying out enough to basically create a dry line through the last couple of corners. Max Verstappen, just following the traffic ahead of him, has just lost the rear. Pierre Gasly also. Oh my goodness, watching the onboard of Gasly. Gasly almost lost it himself before Max Verstappen crashed ahead of him as well. Liam Lawson, watching his onboard, he just, oh my goodness me, you can see on Liam Lawson, who was directly behind his teammate, Max's car. Just, it's so, oh, wow. It couldn't have happened at a worse. But there's so many drivers have moments through there. Gabriel Bortoleto nearly gets tagged by, who is that? I can't see who that was directly behind him. I think that was maybe Nico Hulkenberg, his own teammate. But Colapinto's having a moment in front of Gabriel Bortoleto off of the curb of turn 13. Bortoleto goes before the line of where... Yeah, Gabriel Bortoleto nearly gets tagged by his own teammate there as he makes his way. Does a 360 out of the last corner. So that could have been so much worse from so many more drivers there. But the only driver to crash, unfortunately, is Max Verstappen. Deary me, so much to review there in the first couple of laps. First lap. Hope you guys are still with me. Hopefully you guys are getting a picture of what has actually happened there. But whew. F1 site says Max dipped a wheel onto the white line. I need to see it again. I don't know if he did. If he did dip a wheel onto the white line, then that's his fault. But I'm not sure. Deary me. This stream is much better than others around. Thank you. Thank you. If you are enjoying this stream, guys, hit that like and subscribe button. We are fast approaching 90,000 subscribers. Red flag at the moment while they clear up that debris and make sure, obviously, that that barrier is safe because it was a big hit for Max Verstappen and he is out of this race. Lando Norris still leads this race. P1 from Kimi Antonelli got a good start there. Antonelli on the cleaner side of the racetrack got a much better launch than George Russell and Oscar Piastri. Both of those drivers on the mediums, they got a bit of wheel spin off of the line. George Russell there, but I think they will get another opportunity here to go again. Will they do a rolling start or will it be a standing start? That will be the question. I think it's suitable for a standing start, and we'll see if that is what's going to happen again. Lewis has a small amount of damage on his barge ball. Does he? Within the red flag conditions, they are able to make repairs to the car. So I think that's Gasly or Colapinto. They're changing the front wing there of Colapinto's car. Is that one of the Alpine's cars? I don't know which car that is. I think it's Colapinto's car because he was... Well, no, maybe it was Gasly. It might be Gasly's car, but there are some repairs for damages that are able to be taken under red flag conditions. Of course, you need to get their FIA approval, but that's obviously brand new tyres are going to be able to be put on if they want. So we don't know about rain on the way. Maybe more rain on the way. You never know here in, of course, here at Zandvoort. The Max fan asking if Max can be repaired before a restart. Unfortunately not, no. I would suggest just looking on Twitter right now, and you will probably have a look. You'll probably be able to see the state of Max Verstappen's car. It's not a 10-minute job, unfortunately. AI transcriptions, I don't think they're working for me at the moment. They're not working, so apologies, they haven't worked all weekend. I would have them up. That's why we've got the championship standings up there at the moment, because they're just not working. So rather than having some empty space up here, I do have the championship standings, so because that is relevant information for you all. Should do a few safety car laps to get tyres up to temperature and let the track dry some more. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they also should just... This is F1. There's never going to be a time where, like, the conditions... If a driver wants... If teams want to make sure that they can get through the last couple of corners safely, then they should put the intermediate tyres on. But this is the risk that they've taken. This is it. This is racing. And unfortunately, Max Verstappen is the one driver who has fallen foul to that risk. Yeah, I think Max did get on the white line, actually. Looking at it from Liam's onboard. Albon, sorry, but what Esteban did is crazy. He's overtaken in the middle of a crash. Oh, Albon wasn't happy about Esteban Ocon overtaking. Oh my goodness me. I mean, to be fair, Albon, it's still green flags. They're still racing. As Hulkenberg on the radio says, it was crazy with Gabe almost T-boned him. Yeah, we mentioned that as well. Deary me, what a start to this race. So, resumption order. That is the resumption order there. Where is Esteban Ocon? Is Esteban Ocon ahead or behind Albon? Because I don't believe there were yellow flags. It was still green flag. So he might not be happy with Esteban Ocon, Alex Albon, but it was green flags and they're still technically racing. So, tyre choices didn't cause a spin, track conditions did. Yeah, but you also have to, like, that's the risk that you take, is that if even 10% of the racetrack is that slippery, everyone here has taken that risk going, okay, well, the last couple of corners, you need to be careful through there. There can be a crash because it's slippery. It's not suitable for slick tyres. But then do you take the safer option, which is go for intermediate tyres, but then the intermediate tyres, of course, are going to burn up for 90% of the lap. That's what they have. So race restart, we don't know when the race is restarting just yet. We are awaiting a time of resumption. Drivers are still out of their cars at the moment, so we only have a confirmation of the resumption order there. We don't know in what time they will be starting and at what time, in what way they'll be starting as well, in relation to a rolling start or a standing start at the moment. Max Verstappen has crashed out of this race. So watching Max, did he get on the white line? Yeah, Max did get on the white line. So Max got too tight to the white line, and that's why he did crash and lost the rear. Resumption is basically like when they resume racing. Red Bull's already infamous for their rear suddenly snapping, adding to that the slippery track. Yeah, true. Oh, Ocon noted for yellow flag infringement. I don't think it's a yellow flag infringement because from what I've seen from the replay, there was green panels. They're going to investigate it, but I think Ocon actually is entitled there. I think the yellow flag came out a bit later. If it's not wet, it'll be a standing start. I think so, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, confirmation there that Max did get on the white line. Bit of an uncharacteristic mistake. That was giving him the benefit of the doubt, but it does seem that it is driver error from Max Verstappen. Max cannot race. No, not anymore. The car is not okay to repair. It is undoubtedly a wreck at the moment. So yeah, Max Verstappen's Dutch Grand Prix has come to a very premature end. Progress is showing 3 of 72 laps. Will that reset or stay that way? I think that will reset to 2. Or it might be 3 because by the time they do an extra formation lap, get round, that's technically 3 laps done. So I think that's why. FIA slow and inept. I mean, in fairness, David, they were all coming through at a very quick rate of knots. So I think the marshals are probably like, there was still loads of debris being thrown up off the track by the time everyone came through. So I think it was a case of like, there's that initial shock reaction. Colapinto's been noted for yellow flag infringement as well. I think Ocon, I mean, I looked at his onboard on the initial replay and there were green panels. So, yeah. For those wondering, the moment you step out of the cockpit during a race, your race is over. Under racing conditions, yes, until a red flag is shown. If a red flag is shown and you can get the car back to the pits under your own steam, then you can do that. But if you can't get back to the pits under your own steam, then no. Did Mini Stuffeyy enjoy the part? She did enjoy the part. She's currently... the reason it's quiet in the background is because she's currently sleeping. Right. Oh my goodness me. Watching Nico Hulkenberg there, he just has smoke ahead of him and doesn't see Gabriel Bortoleto. That's like pure luck that he avoided. That is like pure luck that he avoided Gabriel Bortoleto there from going straight into him. Deary me. Deary me. How are we still under red? Because there was a lot of debris that needs to be cleared. Max Verstappen took a big hit into the barrier, and they need to make sure that that barrier is safe. Charles has like a personal grudge against Lewis, forcing him wide. I don't think it was so much Lewis. So the track does now look clear from the TV images I'm looking at. So I'm sure we will soon get a time of resumption from the race getting back underway. So we will just wait for that. You can see here, clearing track sector 10. So we're getting the clear sectors now. They're just doing a track update, making sure everything's okay. And then drivers, I presume, will be getting back into the car very shortly. It does look a lot drier now, yeah. double yellow up there into turn 4. There we go. Resume. Race will resume at 15:33. 15:33. So you're talking 10 minutes time. Around 10 minutes time. Let's do that for you. Oh, 2:33. Sorry, hang on. No, it's 14. So Ocon has already been agreed as no further action, by the way. No further action for Esteban Ocon. So, yeah. Craziest thing is that Ocon took the 30th position and got his action broadcasted to everybody to see. Yeah, but it wasn't under yellow flag. The yellow flag hadn't come out yet. So he is technically still like under racing conditions. Longer the race start, higher the chance of rain returning. That is true. That is very true. So Verstappen is out of this race. If you're just tuning in, everyone, Max Verstappen has been is DNF from this race because he crashed out of the last corner on a slippery track surface, and drivers are now making we had a red flag, and drivers are now making their way back into their cars with the race resuming in just over 8 minutes' time. Who knows if we're going to get a standing start? I think we will get a standing start. There's currently blue skies and sun out there at Zandvoort. Very different to how this race got underway, or the lead up to this race. So investigations being had for Lindblad there, who is up in 8th place. Lawson up a position as well in P7. So we'll see. We'll see what this race is going to provide for us now. Who had that on? Oh, did he? They can do, I think. Maybe he takes it off before he puts the gloves on. We know Max, Yuki is one place closer to a point. He is indeed. Yeah, Yuki has a real possibility of scoring points today. Real good possibility. What a result that would be for him. Who is going to restart on the hards? Yeah, that is true. So we don't know if everyone's going to start on the same tyre. They are able to change tyres under red flag conditions, of course. So will there be those who started on the mediums? Will they start on the softs, or will they stay on the mediums? This is the thing when it comes to obviously the race at the moment, because they only did one lap, not even one lap of racing. So are they going to stay? Is there really any points? But of course, you get to see what other teams have already decided to choose. Will the softs go on to mediums? Will the medium runners go on to the softs? Like, you don't know. I'm assuming the track will be completely dry by the time that the restart begins. Not completely dry, but there will be dry. Oh, there's a lot of work going on to the underside of Arvid Lindblad's car, probably trying to remove some debris that was picked up in that crash of Max Verstappen, because lots of drivers, all drivers who were following basically Max's crash there, had to run over some debris of some kind. What are these GIFs on YouTube, by the way? What are they? I do have, actually, some gifted subs to give out as well, so... There you go. Just watching this race restart of Gabriel Bortoleto. What happened to him at the start here? Yeah. He just had a slow start off the line. And then... Oh, wow. Colapinto absolutely sent it up the inside of turn 3 and Gabriel Bortoleto. What a move from Colapinto that was. Deary me. Don't often see that. Caught him massively by surprise. Max did get greedy on that corner. Looks, yeah, I mean, it's easy to do. It's very easy to do. But yeah, he should have stayed wide of it. Can Red Bull give Max Lawson's car like the old days? No. This is Lawson's opportunity now as being the sole Red Bull driver out there to try and score some points today. I think everyone had a moment for the last couple of corners, Uchi. Looking at the onboards that I've seen, Gasly had a moment there. He caught the snap. Colapinto also did. Gabriel Bortoleto, of course. I mean, everyone had a twitch through there. Like, everyone had a twitch, some more so than others. So, yeah, it was very difficult to get through there. My pleasure, Yuki. My pleasure. Yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. This race will get underway in just over 4.5 minutes' time. If you're just joined us, what has happened? Why is Max Verstappen's car out of this race? Well, he has crashed into the last corner. This race started in very peculiar conditions. We had rain in the lead up to this race, half an hour beforehand, but the track dried, but not 100% dried, and the last couple of corners were very slippery. And what we saw is Max Verstappen just get too close to that white line into the last corner, and of course you do not want to touch any of the painted surface areas when it has been raining, because the water sits on top and there is no grip, or there's definitely a lack of grip. And Max Verstappen on that corner unfortunately found his car going into a spin and into the barrier, which brought out a red flag. Gabriel Bortoleto, very fortunate as well. He is down 9 places into 18th for a big spin into the last corner. Was lucky not to be T-boned by his teammate Nico Hulkenberg, who is up in 12th. But yes, that was littered the track with the parts of Max Verstappen's Red Bull. Not how, of course, the home fans wanted his race to end at all. And he didn't even get to see one lap completed here for who knows what could be potentially his last ever Dutch Grand Prix. Will we ever return to the Netherlands for Formula One? Who knows, but it's not on the plans of Formula One for the foreseeable, at least. If Yuki gets points, he will get more points than the Cadillac. Yeah, that's true. Not difficult, though, considering Cadillac have been struggling to even fight for points. YouTube gives £1, Stuffey. Oh, are they? Well, thank you very much for the gifts, guys. Much appreciated. And for anyone, obviously, who does memberships and so forth as well, if you were fortunate enough to get those 5 gifted there from myself, welcome to the pit crew. And if you would like to subscribe to this channel, we are fast approaching 90,000 subscribers. It'd be much appreciated. Right, quick toilet break for myself as we are fast approaching the race restart here. Drivers are in their cars, ready to get going again. Who knows if this is going to be a standing start? We're still yet to get confirmation of that. Hopefully, we'll get confirmation of it once I quickly return from the loo break. So keep an eye out on those race control messages, because that is where it will pop up. I think it's suitable for a standing start. Will we get a rolling start? Hopefully not, but let's see. Back in a jiffy. Still no update. Still no update on whether it's going to be a standing start or a race or a rolling start. Interesting. Your mate is a Max fan and he went to Zandvoort. I bet he's absolutely gutted. Yeah, I think loads of people will. Loads of people. It's never nice to see the home favourites go out. But the stands, no one's left. The stands are still full. Everyone still wants to watch the racing. It does look grey in the background, doesn't it? It looks grey. There are definitely grey clouds circulating Zandvoort. It's whether or not they go over Zandvoort and we get more rain. Of course, the later this race goes on, the more likely an opportunity there is for rain, as per the forecast. But who knows? Who knows? Right. Still no confirmation yet of whether it's going to be a standing start or a rolling start. Let's see. 30 seconds remaining. It looks like, obviously, they are going to be doing a formation lap behind the safety car. We'll see what drivers have decided in relation to their tyre selections as well. Have they decided to stay on the tyre they were on, or would they have changed maybe to a medium or a soft to a medium? We are about to find out. My pleasure, Jovi. Yeah, guys, if you are enjoying this stream, hit that subscribe button. We're nearly 1,000 likes for the stream, so thank you. And, of course, trying to hit 90,000 subscribers today. Fast approaching 100,000. We are here every single race weekend providing you this coverage. Of course, more content as well on the channel. I'll be doing my driver ratings for the race weekend. Lots to discuss from the sprint race, qualifying yesterday, and this race. We still have 70 laps remaining here of the Dutch Grand Prix that I'll be taking into consideration for my driver ratings. You can check out where all the drivers sit in my mid-season driver ratings, where I've taken the average of every mark I've given them thus far in this season. And wow! Piastri's on the hards. Bold. So we do have change of tyres for those on the grid. Norris has moved from the mediums to the softs. Antonelli stays on the mediums. Russell stays on the mediums. Charles Leclerc is on a brand new set of softs now rather than a used set. Piastri is on the hards. And we have confirmation of a standing start here. Esteban Ocon has to start behind Alex Albon. Ooh, is that right? Is that right? Albon has to start. Is rightfully allowed to start ahead of Esteban Ocon? I'm not so sure. Need to review that back. So let's have a run through of this grid then, as we have a standing start here for the race restart at the Dutch Grand Prix after Max Verstappen's crash at the end of the first lap brought out the red flag. He is unfortunately out of his home race. Lando Norris starts on the soft compound tyre now from the medium, which is interesting to see how he gets on. Wants that extra level of grip, undoubtedly, at the start of this race. Antonelli starts second. He is on the medium, as is George Russell in third on the same set of mediums. Charles Leclerc with a brilliant start, launching past Hamilton and Piastri when it came to the first time. He is in P4 on a brand new set of softs. Piastri is on a set of hards. How is that going to fare for Oscar Piastri? He could be a sitting duck at the start of this race because it's going to take it a while to get those tyres up to temperature, I presume. Hamilton in P6. He's on the same set of softs he started on. Lawson on a set of used softs, but a lap younger than what he was on previously. Lindblad is on brand new mediums. Gasly is on used mediums. Colapinto on brand new mediums. Sonoda, same on softs, still in 11th. Hulkenberg in 12th on softs. Albon has now gone to the hards in P13. Ocon on softs. Alonso is on softs. He's in P15. Bortoletto is in P16. He is on softs. Behrman on softs in 17th. Stroll in 18th. Sainz 19th. Bottas 20th. Perez 21st. They're both on hards, and the guys I just mentioned were on softs. So only a few drivers have decided to change their tyres for this race restart. Of course, Max Verstappen there is out of this race. But we have a yellow. Behrman's off! Oh, my goodness me. That shocked me so much that we've got a yellow flag and potentially a stricken Haas. Has he gone? It seems a very odd place to go round, so I presume this is a mechanical failure for Ollie Behrman. We may have a postponement here of the race restart as Behrman has gone round. What the? Has he gone round? What has he done there? It's raining, apparently, as well. What? I'm so confused. This is what's happening. What is happening here? Ollie Behrman is, I think, getting out of the car. Surely this race is going to be postponed. As Behrman is out of the car, and this surely will be a postponement of the race start here, as he is off to the side of the track. His engine's broken. We have an extra formation lap, and this is going to be probably a postponement, a definite postponement of this lap. Would it be able to remove Ollie Behrman's car, which is broken? That Ferrari engine in the Haas has broken, and he is our second retirement from this race as we go, as we have done 4 laps here, and we've only done 1 lap of racing thus far. Dearie me, dearie me. Arvid Lindblad is moving down the field here, Arvid Lindblad. Is he okay? Has he been able to get away okay? Or is Arvid Lindblad been given a penalty here? No, surely not. It's just a GPS issue there. Just a GPS issue of Arvid Lindblad. He is not dead last. He is actually still behind Liam Lawson. My goodness me. Is there rain? Well, the message at the top of your screen does say in that widget, yes, it is raining. I'm watching the TV coverage and I can't see rain at the moment. It is nice and sunny out there on the TV coverage. So I'm not sure there is rain at the moment. I think that might be a bit incorrect, that widget. But one thing is for sure, is that this race has not got underway just yet because Ollie Behrman's car has broken down on that formation lap for this race restart because of the red flag brought out by Max Verstappen. And yeah, we are still awaiting that restart here. Deary me. Deary me. So I think they have removed Ollie Behrman's car. He was kind of pulled off at an escape road anyway. So we should be going racing this time around. That is for sure. 2:37 p.m. and no racing. I know. 37 minutes after the race first got underway. We are still waiting. So they have moved his car away into a safe area. So this should be now our race restart here. This should be our race restart. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We are finally here. Hit that like and subscribe button. Over 1,000 likes now for finally what should be the race restart of this Dutch Grand Prix. We have 68 laps remaining. Here we go. Lando Norris lines up at the front of the grid. Antonelli second, Russell third, Leclerc fourth, Piastri fifth, Hamilton sixth, Lawson seventh, Gasly eighth, Colapinto ninth, Tsunoda in P10 now. Isn't in P10. There is an issue with Arvid Lindblad's GPS there. He is actually ahead of both the Alpines and behind Liam Lawson. Hulkenberg is in 12th, Albon 13th, Ocon 14th, Alonso 15th, Bortoletto 16th, Stroll 17th, Sainz 18th, Bottas 19th, and Perez 20th. Arvid Lindblad is actually in P8, lining up behind Liam Lawson. His GPS is making an error there. I believe. So, everyone behind him is actually a position up the grid. So, here we go. They are lined up on the grid. Slight delay here for the race restart. A very long delay here for the race restart. But we are underway again here at the Dutch Grand Prix. The second time of asking here as they make their way down into the first corner. As there was a brief yellow flag for some reason down into turn 2. But Lando Norris leads out of the first corner side by side with Kimi Antonelli. As Antonelli leads the Dutch Grand Prix. Our championship leader gets round the outside of Lando Norris. A brilliant start from the Italian. And he on the medium compound tyres will now be looking to steam away here with 68 laps remaining. Norris in P2, Russell in P3. Piastri fares pretty well on those hard compound tyres. He's over the rear wing of George Russell. He's going side by side with Russell, and Piastri gets round Russell with a bold move through turn 7. We don't often see overtakes there on the hard compound tyres. Keep an eye out on Piastri today on that alternate strategy here on this race restart. A great start for one McLaren at least, and for one Mercedes as Antonelli leads, and Piastri is in P3. Norris is in P2. Confirmation there of everything that is in P8. A good start for Liam Lawson. He's under the rear wing of Lewis Hamilton in P6 as Hamilton in turn is under the rear wing of his teammate Charles Leclerc up ahead, who had a great start on the first start of this race. But George Russell struggling here at the start of this race with those medium compound tyres, and there's a gap forming already between Piastri and Antonelli and Norris as there is 1.6 seconds. Piastri on this hard compound tyre. Russell, Leclerc and Hamilton will be looking at the rear wing of Oscar Piastri on those hards and wanting to dispatch him as quick as possible. This is when we will see overtakes. We will see overtakes here today due to tyre offsets, and that is what Oscar Piastri may potentially provide, as Arvid Lindblad does have an issue. Arvid Lindblad is diving into the pit lane, and this may be a retirement for Arvid Lindblad as they were working furiously on the underside of Lindblad's car under the red flag conditions. And he is now into the pits. Not entirely sure if he will be back out in the pits as we have a slight delay here on the track map again with the live data. F1 at the moment, not particularly great when it comes to the live data. But Antonelli, 0.8 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. And Lando Norris is 2 seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri. George Russell, 6 tenths behind Piastri as Piastri is all aboard the Piastri train at the moment. Liam Lawson in P7. He could have a bit of a lonely race here today with Max Verstappen out of this race. As no, Lindblad has a drive-through penalty there for a yellow flag infringement earlier on under the obviously when that safety car initially came out, or Max Verstappen's Yellow flags came out for his crash, so Arvid Lindblad is now being demoted to the back of the field here with a drive-through penalty. He's on a brand new set of mediums, and, well, that is, unfortunately, has completely ruined Arvid Lindblad's race as Gasly is up into P8, Hulkenberg P9. He's in the points now. Colapinto in P10, and Tsunoda will be fighting for points here today at his first ever race weekend in these 2026 cars. But as we have now completed officially the 7th, or on the 7th lap of the Dutch Grand Prix, it is Antonelli in P1. He got round the outside of Lando Norris into the first corner on this race restart. Lando Norris 8 tenths behind Antonelli. It's Miami all over again as Norris sets the fastest first sector. It's soft compound tyres versus medium compound tyres. Will Norris have enough to be able to get past Antonelli? We have seen yesterday the mediums versus mediums. It was very difficult to do so, but we now have quicker tyres versus slightly longer lasting, slower tyres. Piastri on the hard compound tyre. He's 2.8 seconds behind. There's a drive-through penalty for Colapinto. Deary me, Franco Colapinto, drive-through penalties being dished out left, right and centre here, as he also has a yellow flag infringement, and that means Colapinto will be demoted back alongside Arvid Lindblad, and that will promote Yuki Tsunoda into P10, into the point scoring positions. Yuki Tsunoda on course here today to score a point after Max Verstappen's retirement, after drive-through penalties for both Colapinto and Arvid Lindblad. And Yuki, what a weekend this could be for him and his potential aspirations of being back on the F1 grid. What a weekend it is currently turning out for him. But Antonelli at the front sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:16.6. Lando Norris a 1:16.893 in that dirty air of Kimi Antonelli. Needs to try and keep applying the pressure. Who knows if we're going to have any more rain on the way here at Zandvoort. It can change in a heartbeat. But with us being so close to the coast here, only 200 metres away from the North Sea. So that is obviously always a potential here. But Oscar Piastri now putting away from George Russell as George Russell is starting to struggle on those medium compound tyres, potentially to Oscar Piastri. You would expect George to be on the attack here, not maybe going into tyre saving mode on Oscar Piastri, but George in P4, 1.5 seconds back from Oscar Piastri on the hard compound tyres. So that gap is widening. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton will be looking at trying to get past George Russell, who is on the medium compound tyres sooner rather than later. Can they do it? Charles was able to do it yesterday. He was the only driver to make really an on-track overtake yesterday outside of just the first lap. And he was soft versus mediums then. Can he do it to George this time around? He's very close, 6 tenths, half a second behind, but we know he needs to be closer than that to get past George Russell, who was difficult to overtake yesterday for Lando Norris. But he is closing there down into the first corner. Liam Lawson, 1.9 seconds back from Lewis Hamilton. It does seem like that Red Bull is, as we know, quite comfortably the full fastest car here this weekend. As Colapinto has been told to box and serve his drive-through penalty. As you can see, he is falling through the field here as he makes his way through the pit lane. He'll come out and have a battle with Arvid Lindblad today. They'll be hoping for a red flag or maybe some wet weather conditions to get themselves back into this race. But unfortunately, that has dramatically ruined their race today with those yellow flag infringements. All that has done, that's promoted Yuki Tsunoda up into P10. He is into P10. He's 1.7 seconds behind Nico Hulkenberg, and he has Alex Albon on the hard compound tyre behind him within that 1 second range. I'm intrigued to see how those hard compound tyres do fare when they eventually, how those hard compound tyres fare when they do eventually pit, or how long they can go. Clean air is king here, of course, at Zandvoort, as Antonelli is finding out right now as he is on the medium compound tyres. That was essential for him to overtake Lando Norris on this race restart so that he can manage this race on the mediums and not be held up behind Lando Norris. He now has the clean air ahead of him, as we have a few drivers noted for leaving the pit exit on the red light. Behrman, who is already out of this race. Bortoletto, whose race he is trying to recover what was a poor start to this race. He started P9. He had a big spin, which nearly collected his teammate just behind Max Verstappen when he crashed as well and caused that first red flag. And he is now being investigated for leaving the pit exit on red light. And could we see another drive-through penalty here? Wow, the stewards are on it, aren't they? On this race restart. That would drop Bortoletto back down to Lindblad and Colapinto and dramatically ruin his race and any aspirations for scoring points today. But let's have an update at the top of the timing screens. Antonelli leads 1 second ahead of Lando Norris. Purple lap after purple lap at the moment upon this race restart. Oscar Piastri on the hard compound tyre. Do not rule out his chances today on that hard compound. That is going to be very interesting to see how long he can go in this race. He'll be very quick at the end, no doubt, on some fresh set of soft tyres in the closing stages. George Russell, he is losing ground to Oscar Piastri, or staying within a usual time interval behind Oscar Piastri, at 16.9 last time around compared to Piastri's 17.2. So Piastri about 0.6 of a second slower than the front runners of Antonelli and Norris. And Russell, let's see what their lap times are as they cross the start-finish line, as Russell may be under attack here this time around with Charles Leclerc, who is a lot closer down into turn one, out of the last corner. George Russell needs to probably look in his rearview mirrors as Charles Leclerc gets ever closer on those soft compound tyres who have extra grip as he comes around the exit of turn one, but not enough at the moment. It could be next time around for Charles Leclerc on George Russell, as George Russell is now within that 1 second range of Oscar Piastri. Leclerc will be hoping that Piastri just pulls out a slightly bigger gap on Russell. Look at Charles Leclerc. He's getting closer and closer as they make their way up to turn 7, but not close enough to make a lunge as Antonelli does the fastest first sector of anyone today. That's where the Mercedes has been very quick thus far this weekend and have dominated. And then that middle sector, they've been much slower, but there is not really been much overtaking in that middle sector. Charles Leclerc there has now brought, with him getting caught up behind George Russell, has been bringing Lewis Hamilton into this as well, as he is looking to get within that 1 second range of these two drivers, as Charles Leclerc, closest drivers really out there on track for their battle at the moment, as Bortoletto, who's being investigated, is under the rear wing of Esteban Ocon for P12. But let's keep an eye out on Charles Leclerc. He lost a bit of time through that chicane, of course, tried to made an overtake on George Russell last year at that very corner, and he has lost a bit of ground there out of the last couple of corners on George, and he's 6 tenths behind. Maybe he utilised his overtake mode last time around on that lap, and that was why he was able to get close. But you can see that he is gaining time on George, but the longer he stays behind him, the longer it is going to ruin his race, because he is 2 steps softer than Oscar Piastri on the hard compound tyre. He undoubtedly will feel that if he can get past George Russell, he can go on the attack of Oscar Piastri, as Fernando Alonso makes a position up there and is up into P13, as we have Gabriel Bortoletto is into the pits. Is this a penalty that they're already serving? Surely not. Are they serving a penalty already? Not entirely sure what is happening there with Gabriel Bortoletto, or is he just making another pit stop? Not entirely sure. It'll be investigated after the race. So Gabriel Bortoletto, is he going to go out on a set of hard compound tyres here? He's on a set of mediums. So Bortoletto onto a set of mediums, maybe thinking they just want to get him some clean air here. As it isn't him serving a penalty as of yet. Thank you everyone for tuning in. By the way, we have this race restart here of the Dutch Grand Prix. Please continue to hit that like and subscribe button if you are enjoying this race and this live stream. Kimi Antonelli now 1.7 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. Maybe this is Lando. He does like to do this drop back. Once he realises he can't get the move done in the first stint, he drops back to look after those tyres and think about the race picture as a whole. He'll probably close up when we start approaching that first stint, or that first pit stop here. Maybe the one and only pit stop that we'll see today at Zandvoort. Oscar Piastri on the hard compound tyre. He's 4.5 seconds behind Lando Norris, doing a 17.2 last time around. Consistent lap times from him, as George Russell behind him does a 17.2 as well on the mediums. Charles Leclerc still trying to apply the pressure on George Russell, staying within that 1 second overtake mode range. Will he be able to get it done? Liam Lawson is 4.3 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, is now in that little train of Russell, Leclerc and Hamilton within 1 second of his own teammates. But importantly for Lawson, he is 5 seconds ahead of Pierre Gasly. So could be a bit of a lonely race here today for Liam Lawson in what was quite comfortably the fourth fastest car. Confirmation of a drive-through penalty served for Arvid Lindblad, and we'll probably get confirmation of Gasly's penalty being served as well, as Lindblad has made up a position on the Cadillac of Sergio Perez. So further down the field here, Yuki Tsunoda 2.3 seconds behind Nico Hulkenberg, but importantly for him, he's 2.4 seconds ahead of Alex Albon in P11. He'll be hoping that Ocon can hold him up for, Albon can hold Ocon up for a bit longer as he's on the soft compound tyre. Albon not going to be as quick as Yuki in that V-carb, who is now the lead V-carb because of that drive-through penalty of Lindblad, and looking to score a point here. What a point it will be for him. As we move up to the top of the field, it does seem like that only Leclerc and Hamilton are within that overtake mode range. George Russell dropping further back from Oscar Piastri, who did a 17.1 on those hard compound tyres, whereas Russell did a 17.4. So Russell's starting to fall away from the back of Oscar Piastri on those hards. Is George Russell starting to struggle on those mediums? I can't imagine that he'd want to be that much slower than Oscar Piastri, even if he is tyre saving at this stage of the race. Oscar Piastri's tyres his pace is looking very good compared to Antonelli Norris, who also did 17 flats last time around. So his pace starting to level out compared to Antonelli Norris. Do not rule Piastri out of winning this race today. Well within an opportunity. They could have pulled an absolute blinder here, McLaren, by putting him onto the hard compound tyre. Did Max get out of the car fine? He is, yes. Max is out of the car fine and absolutely is safe. Of course, he did look dejected, understandably so, with it being his last race at Zandvoort, because who knows when we will then have a Dutch Grand Prix return. Of course, he has signed a contract extension, so there is plenty of opportunity for that still to return. But yeah, it costs a lot of money now to host an F1 race. Right, Antonelli, he is currently nearly 8. He is 21 seconds ahead of Pierre Gasly. So he currently has a nice pit stop window to fall into Pierre Gasly Antonelli if he wants to. 18 seconds is the pit stop loss time here, and well, he nearly has 18 seconds on Liam Lawson. Kimi Antonelli at the front. That is the pace of Antonelli, our championship leader. You can see the championship standings at the top right hand corner of your screen. Antonelli will be gaining 25 points and going to 249 points. And that would dramatically increase his points advantage over what would then now be George Russell into P2. Ahead of Lewis Hamilton if they are to finish where they are. But there's still 58 laps remaining here of the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. Antonelli leads 1.9 seconds, 1.8 seconds back from Lando Norris, who is on the soft compound tyre versus the mediums. Antonelli gaining first place on this race restart at the first corner. Oscar Piastri on the hard compound tyre, 4.7 seconds behind Norris and 6.7 seconds behind Antonelli. George Russell on the radio stating, consider original plan A. Original plan A. So not entirely sure what plan A is, but maybe that is a one stop for George Russell. So he is under attack still by Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc has not left that rear wing of George Russell since this race restart, as they are looking to eke out these tyres. Charles Leclerc in P5 on those soft compound tyres. Lewis Hamilton in on soft compound tyres as well in P6. Liam Lawson 5.5 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, but importantly pulling out a comfortable gap over Pierre Gasly behind, so no worries for him about not finishing kind of behind the midfield, the best of the rest drivers, as Carlos Sainz gets ahead of Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll has decided to pit here. Is this strategy at play for Aston Martin, or is this a reliability issue for the green team? We will see. No, it is definitely strategy for Lance Stroll. We do know that clean air is going to be king here, and the undercut is going to be powerful. But how long do they think they can take these tyres for? Maybe this is a two-stop at play for Lance Stroll and Aston Martin. Surely they are not going to be able to take this hard compound tyre. 57 laps here. Well, they may give it a go as Lance Stroll is out onto the hard compound tyre, and that would be a big achievement to be able to take these hard compound tyres. 57 laps. We will see how that fares for them, as Charles Leclerc is a lot closer to George Russell than he has been for quite some time here. 0.4 of a second behind George Russell as they exit turn 14, the last corner. Surely he's got overtake mode. You can see him gaining here. Is he going to have a move on George Russell around the outside into turn 1? 2 attempts is the gap as they exit turn 1 here. 3 attempts is the gap. Let's see how he fares, and he loses just a bit of time, but he will have a run up into turn 7 here if he can slingshot his way around turn 3, Charles Leclerc, and he just loses a bit of time out of turn 3. The Mercedes is mighty on the exit of that corner, and George survives for just a bit longer, but he was making him look. Looking at the TV coverage, there is definitely dark grey clouds in the distance, but will they be passing over the Zandvoort circuit? We will see. Lando Norris on the radio asking how his tyres are, and they say it's okay for now. Esteban Ocon is out of the pits as well, ahead of Lance Stroll, responding to that undercut of Lance Stroll. He's down in 19th at the moment, but I can't presume he'll be there for long. He was super close, Charles Leclerc, on George Russell as they made their way down into turn 1. Not close enough to make an opportunity as George Russell comfortably held him off, but he was getting closer and closer. So Antonelli now leading. He nearly has that 18-second gap, that free pit stop window to Liam Lawson. Is 18 seconds is the gap near pretty much to the Red Bull driver. That is the pace at the front as George Russell pits. George Russell pits here. So plan A for George Russell must be pit into clean air, hard compound tyres. George Russell is going to come out ahead of Pierre Gasly. Piastri asks, how is the tyres? It's okay, but doesn't feel that much better than the medium tyre, is what Gasly reports, as he's in P3 and 7.1 seconds behind Kimi Antonelli and doing pretty decent pace, to be honest with you. He's going to be going very long in this race, and he's going to be very quick at the end on the soft compound tyre. But George Russell comes out behind Nico Hülkenberg and Pierre Gasly. So, did they pit maybe a touch too early here? Pitting into traffic, George Russell, how was his pit stop? Was it a slow pit stop that cost him? It was 18 seconds exactly for George Russell in that pit lane. So for George Russell, that was exactly what you will see. He is all over the rear wing of Nico Hülkenberg, but will he be able to? Was it a good pit stop on the wheels? I think it was a 3-second pit stop for George Russell, so not too shabby, as he does get past Nico Hülkenberg there quite comfortably on brand new hards compared to Hülkenberg on 18 lap old soft. So there's an on-track overtake there as Piastri is out. Wow, Piastri into the pits here. Piastri into the pits. I thought they'd extend this stint, to be honest with you. He was saying it's not much better than the medium compound tyre, but he's coming off of the hards, and he is going to... Well, what tyre is he going to go on to? Is he going to go back onto the mediums, or will it be the soft compound tyre for Piastri? Is he doing a 2-stop here today? Let's see what he does. Is this a response to the undercut of George Russell? I think it is, as George Russell gets ahead of Oscar Piastri with the undercut there, and Russell, who was behind Oscar Piastri at the start of this race after Piastri got past him down into turn 7, regains it with a brilliant undercut. Piastri back onto another set of hard compound tyres, and McLaren, sleeping at the wheel, have lost that position. Their pit stop for Oscar Piastri. He took a further 2 seconds in that pit stop compared to George Russell. So Mercedes doing a great job in the pit lane, as we are now starting to see drivers come into the pits here and maybe stay onto this hard compound tyre to the end of the race, as we see that Yuki Tsunoda gets out ahead of Gabriel Bortoleto, responding to the undercut there as he is in P14. Gasly also did the same as well, as he rejoins in P13. So wow, what a pit stop that was for George Russell and Mercedes as they get ahead of Oscar Piastri due to a slightly slower pit stop for the McLaren. And Piastri's always hard work. Get an overtake done out on track has just been undone. So we'll see if McLaren will be able to come back at George Russell. But George Russell does have those tyres more up to temperature, as you can see there, he's done the fastest lap of the race with a 1:16.1. We'll see whether any of our race leaders will come into the pit soon. Kimi Antonelli has a comfortable pit stop window to Liam Lawson. He'll be able to come out and clean air there. But for him, the 2 Ferraris are still yet to pit. He would pit and then catch them pretty quickly on brand new tyres. So it's a bit too early for him to do that yet, as Hülkenberg comes out of the pit lane as well. And he slots in behind Pierre Gasly. I think it is a good pit stop by Pierre Gasly. They're side by side though. Gasly and Hülkenberg side by side as they make their way through turn 2. And Gasly holds on to the position there. Hülkenberg nearly got the position on Pierre Gasly. And well, a great pit stop there for the Audi team. And he is on the soft compound tyre here. Variance in strategy for those up and down the grid. It's not maybe quite easy as one stop today. We're going to see drivers try and take these hard compound tyres a very long way. Over 50 laps it's going to be for these drivers to do a one stop today. So those who are pitting back out onto softs will be pitting one more time. Undoubtedly the likes of Nico Hülkenberg there. I think he's the only driver actually out on a brand new set of softs. So different strategy there for Audi. We'll see whether it pays off for them. So at the moment, Antonelli leads by 2.3 seconds from Lando Norris, medium to soft compound tyres. Antonelli has comfortably a pit stop window to Liam Lawson, but just further up the road, if he was to pit, he would have Leclerc and Hamilton out there. So no pitting yet for Antonelli or Lando Norris. As Oscar Piastri says, he's told the Ferraris are doing 17.5. We need to be better than that if we're aiming for Plan A target lap, is what Piastri has just been relayed. So, Piastri, fastest middle sector for him last time around, but still, first sector, sorry, but he is still just out of that, well, he's now within that 1 second range of George Russell. So, Antonelli leads by 2.1 seconds from Norris. Charles Leclerc is 7.9 seconds, 8 seconds behind Lando in P3. We have Hamilton, 1.4 seconds behind Leclerc. Those two close out on track, running their own race. What can they do today, Ferrari, with their strategy going much longer than everyone else? Antonelli does pit. Antonelli pits. He pulls the trigger first as does Lando as well. What do the Ferraris do? Do they stay out? Leclerc comes in as well, and Hamilton stays out. No double stack for the Ferraris. So Hamilton will probably stay out one more lap here. Interesting strategies at play. I thought Ferrari might try something a bit different, and also McLaren as well. Let's see what tyres they come out onto. Surely it's the hard compound tyre for both Antonelli and George Russell. This promotes Russell back into P4 and Piastri into P5. And there you go. They slot in ahead of Russell and Piastri. They'll have fresh rubber, though. Hard compound tyres for both Antonelli and Lando Norris. And let's see what pace they have on this hard compound tyre. Charles Leclerc out on, I think, a set of hard compound tyres as well. We'll see what Lewis Hamilton can do as he inherits the lead of this race, but it won't be for very long as he's on 22-lap old soft compound tyres. But you can see that last time around, Piastri and Russell on brand new hard compound tyres did 16 flats there, 16.5s, mid-16s, as it was a bit of a slow pit stop for Antonelli, 3.6 seconds compared to McLaren's 3.1. So a bit of time gain there for Norris, for McLaren on Kimi Antonelli. And that gap is 1.4 seconds now, 1.3 seconds, rather than the 2.7 or so that it was when they made that pit stop and came into the pits. Oscar Piastri closing down. George Russell with a fastest middle sector for Leclerc. He's on mediums. So Charles Leclerc on mediums here. So interesting. Lewis Hamilton staying out here, so maybe an alternative strategy for Lewis Hamilton. And I think, yes, agreed there, Taco, that I think if you're Lewis Hamilton and that side of the Ferrari garage, you try something different here today. Why not? Why not? Because he doesn't quite have the pace here this weekend, especially compared to his teammate, let alone the Ferraris to the two Mercedes powered unit cars of the McLaren and the Mercedes. As Charles Leclerc does the fastest middle and last sector. We'll see what Charles can do on those mediums. He'll be, surely this is a two-stop strategy today for Ferrari. We'll see if those drivers are going to be able to take those hard compound tyres a long way here in this race today. They might be mightily slow come the end of the race if they are trying to do that, as Lawson makes his way past Fernando Alonso there after he has made his pit stop as well onto a set of medium compound tyres. Bit of a lonely race here today for Liam Lawson, but still will be a solid drive nonetheless for him. Shame that he doesn't really have Max Verstappen out there as a benchmark, really, and a direct comparison. But still, just like Yuki Tsunoda, a great weekend for him as Yuki finds himself in P14 and pretty much in net P10 at the moment, with quite a few drivers still yet to make a pit stop today. So Hamilton currently leads this race. Is he going to dive into the pit lane now? Surely he stays out. He does indeed. So Lewis Hamilton stays out and extends this first stint. We have 49 laps remaining of this Dutch Grand Prix, an interrupted Dutch Grand Prix, as Antonelli sets the fastest lap of the race of 1:15.8 on those brand new set of hards in P2 after gaining the lead upon Lando Norris, who is 1.5 seconds behind at the race restart here due to that red flag caused by Max Verstappen's crash at the end of the opening lap. Russell finds himself in P4, regaining that position on Oscar Piastri that he lost at the race restart up into turn 7. A great pit stop from the Mercedes team to get him back ahead and performing the undercut on Piastri in P5. Charles Leclerc is on a different strategy here. He's on the medium compound tyres. He is in P6. Albon up 9 places at the moment into P7. But still yet to make probably another pit stop as he's on a hard compound. He started this race, he did the race restart on a set of hard compound tyres. So a different variance in strategy for him as he gets overtaken by Liam Lawson, who regains 7th place now on mediums as well. So Albon up 8 places into 8th. And Fernando Alonso up 9 places into 9th, still yet to make another pit stop. Sainz has still yet to make another pit stop as well. He finds himself in P10. Arvid Lindblad is in P11. He's going to extend this stint undoubtedly after receiving a drive-through penalty that dropped him to the back of the field. Gasly in P12, pretty much in net P8 at the moment is Pierre Gasly on the hard compound tyres, being chased down upon by Nico Hulkenberg. Pressure being applied to Gasly by Nico Hulkenberg as they are being held up by Arvid Lindblad. It is for position, and Lindblad will be trying his utmost to hold up Gasly and Hulkenberg here to allow Yuki to close up that gap as he is. But Hulkenberg going for a move on Pierre Gasly. He's side by side with Gasly as they make their way into turn 11. Is he going to be able to get the position here? Hulkenberg just has to concede, but he is applying the pressure on the Alpine driver as Gasly is also trying to attack Lindblad ahead, who is also closing up on Carlos Sainz. This could get tasty down into the first corner. We'll see, but Hulkenberg loses quite a bit of ground there on the change of direction of turn 13 as Hamilton is asked, tyre update when you can. Tyres are okay, Lewis Hamilton says. It is being closed down upon by Kimi Antonelli, so a very different strategy for Lewis Hamilton being deployed here today as Lando does the fastest first sector of anyone today. He's 1.4 seconds behind Kimi Antonelli as Sainz backing up this field here for the last point scoring position. Still yet to make a pit stop here on 22 lap old softs. This race restart has provided us an interesting strategy at play here today. So many drivers you think are out of position, receive penalties and so forth. They're going to try do what they can here today to extend their stints more so than they normally would. And of course, with the tyres maybe going longer than we expected, as Hamilton now comes into the pits. So a lap later after saying the tyres are okay, he comes into the pits. I wonder if this is by design or whether there is something else at play here. Let's see whether Lewis Hamilton did want to pit here. Not entirely sure. When Charles Leclerc sets the fastest last lap of the race, will Hamilton come out on a set of hard compound tyres, or will he be out on set of mediums or something different entirely? He's on the hards. So Hamilton on the hards now. So he's going to try and take these laps later. He's told box. Is there any response from Lewis? Not entirely sure. There we go. So Hamilton will probably be going to the end, but I'm surprised because he only has 8 laps. He doesn't have that much fresher tyres compared to the likes of Norris and Antonelli as well. But we'll see what he can do. And what Ferrari's plan is today. So let's see how quick this pit stop was as well for him. As look at that train between Sainz, Lindblad, Gasly, Hulkenberg and Tsunoda. Look at that fighting for 10th place, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th, all separated by just 2 seconds there. Nose to tail from Sainz, Lindblad, Gasly, Hulkenberg and Tsunoda. Sainz still yet to pit. Lindblad still yet to pit as well after receiving a drive-through penalty. And this could get messy. We will see what happens here, and all on different tyres as well. Sainz on softs, Lindblad on mediums, Gasly on hards, Hulkenberg on softs, Tsunoda on hards. We have every type of compounder tyre in play here as Gasly goes for the move on Arvid Lindblad. But Arvid Lindblad, we know he doesn't like to give up positions easily as they go side by side into turn 11, and Lindblad holds on to it. And well, Hulkenberg is going to snatch that away from Gasly and says thank you very much. And Hulkenberg now up into P12 as Alonso gets past Albon as he dives into the pit lane. I said it might get messy. Lindblad didn't concede the position on Gasly, and that left Gasly out of position, and it leaves Gasly out of position again as he's going to potentially come under attack by Yuki down into turn 1. But no such thing. But Nico Hulkenberg going round the outside of Lindblad in just half a lap. He takes 2 positions and finds himself up into P10, and now only has Sainz ahead of him. What great car positioning from Nico Hulkenberg as he went round the inside into turn 11 and then round the outside of turn 12 of Pierre Gasly and then around the outside of Lindblad into turn 1 using that extra level of grip that he has. Smooth. Love to see it. Lindblad left just the right amount of room, and that's what we like to see. Nico Hulkenberg, the lead Audi driver here, but that has now brought Bortoletto into this as well. We have, from 9th place down to 14th place, the cars separated by 2.5 seconds. Deary me. Gasly, he's going to go for the move again on Arvid Lindblad. No, he's not. He has to wait position. He doesn't want to give that position to Tsunoda, who is right behind him. He's learnt his lesson last time around as Hulkenberg closing down the gap on Carlos Sainz. Update at the front. Kimi Antonelli leads this race by 1.1 seconds from Lando Norris as Anthony, is he maybe hitting a little bit of dirty air from Franco Colapinto up ahead as they're lapping the cars? As what a great race this is, as Arvid Lindblad got really up behind Nico Hulkenberg. Great racing in the midfield at the moment, and fair play to the TV direction for showing it from what I can see from my TV coverage. As Gasly is all under the rear wing of Arvid Lindblad as well. Surely he's going to be lining him up for a move round the turn 3 corner. Slingshot round, slipstream up into turn 7. But I think Gasly, maybe I'm more so under attack from Yuki Tsunoda at the moment. It's going to be Yuki Tsunoda side by side with Gasly up through the hill through turn 6. Yuki and Gasly side by side. Good friends off the track, but no love lost between these two on track, and Yuki gets the move done on the Alpine of Gasly up into P12, and that is a brilliant move from Yuki Tsunoda. Slingshots round turn 3 and uses the slipstream to his advantage to get past Pierre Gasly when Gasly was looking to try and get past Arvid Lindblad. It's now the 2 V-Cubs but close together here, and I wonder if there will be seeing a position here for maybe Lindblad on Yuki Tsunoda as they are on completely different strategies. I'm not entirely sure, but Hulkenberg is on the attacker. Carlos Sainz as well. We'll stay tuned with him as Leclerc is on the back of Oscar Piastri, as Norris is trying to close down the gap of Antonelli with the fastest first sector of the race. Nico Hulkenberg, though, he's in the slipstream of Carlos Sainz. It's going to be moved done before they even get into the braking zone of turn 1, and Hulkenberg now finds himself up into P9, and he is currently best of the rest because Alonso is still yet to pit in this race on 26 lap old softs. Here's net PA. Hulkenberg having a brilliant race here after what has been really a bit of a poor weekend for the Audi driver in comparison to his teammate. Lewis Hamilton set the fastest lap of the race last time around as Antonelli and Norris now clear the stricken Colapinto, who has unfortunately had a drive-through penalty served here today. He's made a second pit stop as well, which is why he is down at the back of the grid here as Bottas leaves the pit as well, as Hamilton sets another fastest lap at 15.5 for him, as Leclerc is half a second behind Oscar Piastri here, as Norris is now within that 1 second range of Kimi Antonelli up front. We'll see whether or not them clearing that back marker of Franco Colapinto here has affected Antonelli and gives him a bit more clean air, but they'll be quickly on the back of more back markers of Perez and Stroll and Ocon very soon. And that battle in the midfield here, Hulkenberg is now running away with this after he's cleared Carlos Sainz on 9-lap-old soft compound tyres. He is going to have to make another pit stop, though, so this is important to his strategy today and his aspirations of finishing best of the rest, Nico Hulkenberg, because he needs that clean air. He needs to maximise those soft compound tyres because he will have to make up 18 seconds on those behind, as Carlos Sainz is being overtaken here by Yuki Tsunoda, who was let through by Arvid Lindblad. Difference in strategies here today, of course, with Arvid Lindblad already serving a drive-through penalty and still yet to make another pit stop, as Tsunoda does get past Carlos Sainz, and a great move for Tsunoda as he finds himself up into P10. Yuki, a great drive for him thus far. Great drive for him thus far. Is there more rain on the horizon? Not entirely sure. No rain at the moment. There is dark clouds in the background, but they're not hovering over the racetrack at the moment. They are in the distance. This midfield battle, unbelievable. Let's see if Yuki Tsunoda can now catch Nico Hulkenberg. Of course, he is probably on these hard compound tyres to the end of the race. This is going to be an interesting end to this race for Yuki Tsunoda and for Nico Hulkenberg as well. We'll see whether Lindblad and Gasly are going to be able to get past Sainz, who is stricken at the moment. He is on 27 lap old softs, so he is just falling to the wayside and being picked off lap by lap for those who are on much fresher tyres. Lando Norris staying with Kimi Antonelli. He is quick at the moment. Lando Norris, can he get past Kimi Antonelli? They have got past Sergio Perez, who was further back off. Where did Perez pit? Perez pitted. So Norris is actually very much quicker, it seems, than Antonelli on this hard compound tyre at the moment. And if Norris gets ahead of Antonelli, I can see him get pulling away as Carlos Sainz relinquishes and releases Arvid Lindblad and Gasly, Bortoletto and Albon there in this midfield battle. As Albon has made a pit stop, as Gasly is all over the rear wing of Arvid Lindblad. Will he be able to hold him off for much longer and help Yuki here in scoring a point? What a point it would be for Yuki Tsunoda. And I keep saying that as Norris loses a bit of time there down into turn 1. Bit of an error, I think, for Lando Norris down into turn 1 as he was around half a second behind Antonelli, unless it was out of the last couple of corners as I took my eyes away. But Charles Leclerc very close to Oscar Piastri. Can he do what we saw from Yuki Tsunoda just a while ago from Pierre Gasly and utilise the slingshot out of turn 3 and get past Oscar Piastri? It's medium compound tyres versus hard compound tyres. And at the moment, Charles Leclerc is still finding himself a little bit unstuck behind Oscar Piastri. George Russell is 7.5 seconds behind Lando Norris, and those front two, George Russell looking trying to really just trying to pretty much just hold on to a top 3 here. Is George Russell. Charles Leclerc much closer here. It's a brilliant middle sector actually from Charles Leclerc on Oscar Piastri. Let's see if he's going to be able to stay and maintain that 4/10 gap as they make their way down into the braking zone of turn 11. He's lost a 10th there really on the exit. Let's see if he's going to be able to stay close. You need to be really under half a second, 4/10 of a second to have an opportunity at plus overtake mode to get past another car up ahead down into turn 1. As Lindblad is still holding up Gasly there as it's allowing Yuki to pull away here as Charles Leclerc is a lot closer than he has been for some time. He's 4.5 tenths back. Is it enough? Does he have overtake mode available to get past Oscar Piastri? I think Piastri can just cover off the inside if he wants to. And yes, that is the case. Only a slight gain there on the start-finish straight for Charles Leclerc on Oscar Piastri. But you can see from the corners he is gaining. But that Mercedes power unit definitely a lot quicker than the Ferrari power unit. in where it matters in those full throttle sections. Lando Norris coming a bit unstuck behind Kimi Antonelli, but he's still trying to apply the pressure on our current championship leader. 249 points would be Antonelli's tally if he wins this race today. But will these lap cars help or hinder the front runners here? You can see that that battle between Lindblad, Gasly, Bortoletto and Albon could play an important role in this battle for the lead. We still have 40 laps remaining here of this Dutch Grand Prix. A very long way to go. Lewis Hamilton has caught this battle of Piastri and Charles Leclerc. 1.3 seconds is the gap now, and it's going to be even closer when they exit the last couple of corners as Franco Colapinto is holding up Piastri and Charles Leclerc. He's going to hold up Lewis Hamilton for just a short moment, but it won't be for very long as Antonelli crosses the line 1.1 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. George Russell, 7.8 seconds behind. Piastri, 2.8 seconds behind. Charles Leclerc, a lot closer this time around. He's going for the move on Oscar Piastri down into turn one, just as his teammate is approaching. But Piastri defends, but Charles has the extra level of grip. Who is going to come out on top here? The side-by-side return to Charles is in ahead, but does he stay ahead as Oscar Piastri comes out second best? Hards versus mediums, and finally Leclerc gets past Piastri, and brilliant racing from the two. Fair, hard, but respectful between the two of them as they went through turn 1, 2 and 3 side by side. As Charles Leclerc did a great cutback on Oscar Piastri down into turn 2. Piastri went deep to defend, and then he had the optimal racing line down into turn 3, and Piastri had to concede the position. And well, Piastri could be losing another position here as Piastri is going to be on the defence as Lewis Hamilton is under the rear wing of Oscar down into turn 11. But does he have enough to make the send? No, he does not. But he'll be biding his time, Lewis Hamilton here, undoubtedly, as he's only 3 tenths behind Oscar, who maybe has got a bit of dirt on those hard compound tyres by being forced out of the racing line by Charles Leclerc last time around. As Hamilton, this looks like it is more so a foregone conclusion here as he's 1 tenth behind. He's 2 tenths, but he's less than a tenth behind. But Piastri defends again. He's going to try and fight hard for this. But Hamilton, with those younger, hard, extra level of grip tyres on the hards, comes out ahead. And in 2 successive laps, Piastri loses a position to 2 Ferrari drivers. But it's not over and done with yet, as he's got the slingshot out of turn 3. They're side by side as they make their way up the hill, but I think Piastri just has to hold off as Hamilton defends the inside, and Hamilton ahead of Oscar Piastri. And unlike the sprint race yesterday, we have seen a couple of on-track overtakes here. Great racing between these top drivers, and Hamilton is up into P5. Alonso now pits off of those soft compound tyres and promotes Hulkenberg up into 8th. As Oscar Piastri did get a very big slingshot out of turn 3 and got so close to the rear wing of Lewis Hamilton into turn 7, but he didn't have enough to get an overlap and a move done there, as Fernando Alonso is now exiting the pit lane, and looks like Alonso might be coming into effect in this battle as he exits the pit lane for the lead between Antonelli and Lando Norris. He's going to have to move out of the way here between Norris and Antonelli, and he does so very quickly and comes out ahead of Esteban Ocon in P13 there, with Ocon in 14th, and he's on brand new hard, so a good pit stop for Aston Martin. We'll see if Alonso will be able to catch Alex Albon and those up ahead, as Gasly has now finally dispatched Arvid Lindblad, and he finds himself in P10, but 6.5 seconds behind Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda 6.9 seconds, 7 seconds behind Nico Hulkenberg, who is on the set of soft compound tyres. He is going to be doing a 2-stop undoubtedly. Remember, an 18-second gap is the pit stop lost time here today at the Zandvoort circuit. So that is the gap that Hulkenberg is trying undoubtedly to pull out here on Yuki Tsunoda, with an extra pit stop to make as he's on the soft compound tyre, with those on the hard compound tyres most likely looking to go to the end of this race. So let's have a run through the field, shall we? As all drivers have now made a second pit stop here in this race. Turn 1 incident involving Piastri and Hamilton noted for driving erratically. Was Oscar driving erratically there? I don't know. I need to see a replay as to whether that was or not. So Antonelli now leads 1.6 seconds ahead of Lando Norris, as getting through that lap traffic there, unfortunately, has not been very kind to Lando Norris, and he's now 1.7 seconds behind and he's lost over a second to Kimi Antonelli. George Russell is in P3. He's 7.6 seconds behind on the hard compound tyre. He pitted early to do the undercut on Piastri, and he's fighting for this podium today. He's being chased down upon by Charles Leclerc. He is on 15 lap-old mediums in P4. Hamilton is on hard compound tyres, on 11 lap-old hard compound tyres, and it looks like he will be going to the end of this race as well. He is 2.9 seconds behind Charles Leclerc and back where he started this race in P5. Oscar Piastri, a difference in strategy for him. I do think that they still pitted him a bit too early on those hard compound tyres, McLaren, on this race restart, and he is in P6 after just being dispatched by both the Ferraris. He did get undercut by George Russell as well. Alex Albon's just got past Fernando Alonso. Wow, bit of a tussle there between Alonso and Alex Albon. But I think Alonso, yes, and they're still side by side as they make their way into turn 13. Alonso and Albon very close there through the middle sector. And Alonso has to concede the position, trying to get those hard compound tyres up to temperature. I'm sure that Aston Martin will pick up the pace, though, once those tyres do get into the right window. Other than that, finally pitting after receiving his drive-through penalty earlier. And Esteban Ocon also pitting as well off of those hard compound tyres. So maybe it is going to be a two-stop here today. Maybe it is a two-stop because we're seeing drivers pitting off of these hard compound tyres on lap 20 here. 20 laps on these hard compound tyres. I do think it'll be a very long way to go on a set of hard compound tyres. So maybe it is a two-stop here today, not a one-stop as we were expecting. But we'll see. Time will tell. So Norris has now picked up the pace again and is back on the rear wing of Kimi Antonelli and under that 1 second range. So Norris is the quicker driver on these hard compound tyres in this second stint here. But as we know, it's difficult to get past here at Zandvoort. So we'll see whether he is going to be able to dispatch Antonelli. But definitely, I feel like Norris, if he gets past Antonelli, he will drive off into the distance as Fernando Alonso is coming back at Alex Albon there. And, well, Alonso's going slow. Is that Alonso going slow? No, it's not Alonso going slow. He's actually under the rear wing of Alex Albon there. That was just a GPS issue on the track map. As Fernando Alonso is looking like he's going to retake this position from Alex Albon now. He's got those tyres into the right window. Let's stay on board with Alonso before we run through the rest of the field. As we see, can he, with that new Honda Power Unit, get past the Williams down into turn 1? They're side by side still through turn 1. 0.04 seconds separating the two. Who comes out ahead? It's Fernando Alonso who comes out ahead of Alex Albon, and he is up into P11. Fernando Alonso, 9.5 seconds behind Pierre Gasly. A great race from the Aston Martin at this moment. Brilliant from Fernando Alonso and Aston Martin. Great strategy at the moment to go long on those soft compound tyres and be on this set of hard compound tyres. Very, it's working out very well. Liam Lawson is 17 seconds behind Oscar Piastri on those medium compound tyres. Lonely race from him. He's 25 seconds ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. Yuki Tsunoda 7.7 seconds behind Nico Hülkenberg. So that's good for him as Hülkenberg is unable to really kind of stretch his legs here with this soft compound tyres. And if he pits, that will promote Yuki up into P8 and best of the rest. But Yuki is being slightly closed down upon by Pierre Gasly, who is chipping away at his lap times here, as we'll just keep an eye on Gasly as he crosses the line and does a 17.645. So yes, chipping away at Tsunoda's lap time here, but still a long way to go in this race. 33 laps remaining. And as we look at Gasly, he is being closed down upon by Antonelli, and who has Norris very close behind him as Lewis Hamilton laps a car there. Which car is that he's lapping at the moment into turn 1 as Leclerc has caught the back of George Russell now. 0.7 of a second is the gap from Leclerc to George Russell, fighting for this podium position today. But can Leclerc take this medium compound tyre to the end, or will he be making another pit stop? We will see. Running through the rest of the field, though, Alonso, yes, in 11th, Albon in 12th, Bortoleto is 13th, Sainz 14th, Colapinto 15th, Lindblad is 16th on the rear wing of rear wing of Franco Colapinto, as Norris is very close to the rear wing of Antonelli now. He's been able to capitalise there and get through Pierre Gasly and get as close as he can for quite some time on Kimi Antonelli. We'll stay on board with them as Piastri has been warned. He's been given a black and white flag for driving erratically, so I need to see it back, but that must be because of weaving under braking. It must be because of moving under braking when fighting Lewis Hamilton. But we'll see. As what has Kimi Antonelli just done there out of the last couple of corners? Oh, Antonelli pits. Antonelli into the pits. So there we go. It is a 2-stop race today. No one-stop race. And this is very interesting as George Russell follows Antonelli in. It's almost a double stack for the Mercedes duo as Russell was being caught by Charles Leclerc and Norris was catching Kimi Antonelli. So this is going to be interesting. This is now crunch time for Lando Norris. I do think he was the quicker driver. And can he stretch his legs on this set of hard compound tyres? He is going to be on much younger, fresher tyres at the end of this race. He has clean air ahead of him now. How will his lap times be? He was lapping around the 17-second mark. 1 minute 17, 1 minute 16.9. Of course, Antonelli and Russell are going to be quick here, but it is going to be really interesting to see what tyres they will be on at the end of the race. They're on the hard compound tyre, Antonelli and Russell. Surely Norris is going to extend this stint here, and he will go on to maybe a set of softs towards the end of the race and have that 2-step softer compound tyre and extra level of grip on Antonelli. This is shaping up to be a very, very interesting end to this race. We still have 32 laps remaining. It feels like I've been commentating and streaming for an age here today. And we still have so long to go. But that's a very, very interesting pit stop there for Antonelli and George Russell. Lewis Hamilton is on the rear wing of Charles Leclerc, by the way, as well. I wonder if they will get Charles Leclerc. Is Charles Leclerc going to fight Lewis Hamilton tooth and nail, or will there be team orders? Different strategies at play here for Leclerc and Hamilton. I suspect it will be the latter, with Charles Leclerc fighting tooth and nail on his teammate. But if you are Ferrari, your drivers are on very different strategies, medium and hard compound tyre here. I think you have to release the driver who is on the hard compound tyre. Who is going longer in this race. Otherwise, there is a potential here, but there is a potential here of at least getting one of your cars on the podium, or maybe even 2 cars on the podium. We will see what they decide to do. I do think team orders need to be at play. We'll keep an eye out on that, though, for Charles Leclerc, because Hamilton is already on the back of him, as you can see, 0.4 of a second behind. But Norris, what will his lap time be? Hamilton, I'm quicker than Charles. My tyres are better, is what Hamilton is saying on the radio. And he is absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I think Charles needs to needs to be a radio message to get him out of the way here. We'll see if it's going to be done down the start-finish straight. But it is a different strategy at play here. It is a different strategy at play for Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. We'll see if there's going to be team orders here. I doubt it will be. Of course, Charles will not let Lewis pass unless he is told to do so. And I get it. Why would you? You need that team order to come into play. But Ferrari unable to let Charles Leclerc let Hamilton through at the moment. So he stays behind him for a bit longer, and all the while this is holding him up as Norris, you can see, did a 16.595 last time around, so already he is 0.4 of a second quicker than he was stuck behind Kimi Antonelli. Kimi Antonelli does a 15.7 this time around on a brand new set of tyres. As Charles was told to box. Charles was told to box there, and he had a very, very choice set of words on the radio to his team. So Charles Leclerc refusing to follow the team orders there of boxing and is wanting to hold position of Lewis Hamilton. Some inter-team battle here at the moment as Lewis Hamilton comes onto the radio again. We'll see what Lewis Hamilton says on the radio in relation to that message that Charles Leclerc has just received. They've got past. It was genuine. They wanted to box Charles Leclerc here, but Charles said no. Hamilton on the radio very forcefully says, we're just losing time. We're just losing time. And there we go. Charles does box, and they've used it to release Lewis Hamilton here. And that's 2 precious laps. We'll see how important those 2 laps are for Lewis Hamilton, as he lost quite a significant amount of time stuck behind Charles Leclerc. But also, is there a need to pit Charles Leclerc here so that he comes out behind George Russell? Could they not extend that stint? I'm not so sure. I think he probably could, but that's what they've done. They've decided to pit Charles Leclerc. That has released Lewis Hamilton. We'll see what lap time he can do now. as Norris does a 16.335 last time around in clean air, as he was lapping 117s when he was stuck behind Kimi Antonelli. Kimi Antonelli and George Russell setting good lap times there in the 115s on brand new hard compound tyres. Antonelli will be chasing down Lewis Hamilton, of course. 4.3 seconds, 4.4 seconds is the gap, but Lewis will be on quick tyres at the end of this race. Or is he going to go long in this race? I think he might go long. We'll see what he is going to do. Hold on to track position, or will he go on to the set of soft compound tyres? We'll see what lap times he can do in clean air. But an interesting set of circumstances here in the closing stages of, well, I say the closing stages, we're only just over the halfway mark of this race. 28 seconds left. 28 seconds left. There's 28 laps left. Sorry, not 28 seconds. 28 laps left of this Dutch Grand Prix. Norris leads from Lewis Hamilton by 11.4 seconds. Antonelli is in P3 after making a second pit stop, as there is a slippery track surface in Sector 16, which is probably out of the last corner or so, as Piastri now comes into the pits again. This is his third pit stop today, I think, Oscar Piastri. Lewis Hamilton on the radio. Great way of wasting time, guys. Good job. Lewis Hamilton on the radio, telling his team how he feels. Great way of wasting time, guys. Good job. Sarcasm from the 7-time world champion there on the radio to Ferrari. And I have to tend to agree. Oscar Piastri, where has he come out? He comes out behind Liam Lawson, Oscar Piastri. So Lawson finds himself in P6 on the medium compound tyre. He'll probably have to make another pit stop, as Piastri is now on a set of soft compound tyres to the end of this race. So Norris leads 11.1 seconds on Lewis Hamilton, as Hamilton did a 16.1 last time around. Antonelli did a 16.2 on brand new hards. That's very interesting there. Russell did a 16.697 on brand new hards. Seems that the Mercedes performance on the hards is not as good as they were on the mediums. Charles Leclerc, 5.9 seconds behind Russell on brand new hards. Lawson is ahead of Oscar Piastri. They're still yet to make a second pit stop. As Piastri is in P7. He'll be chasing him down and getting past him undoubtedly very quickly, as Yuki Tsunoda is in the pits for a second pit stop here. So Yuki Tsunoda, these hard compound tyres, unable to go the full race distance that we thought they'd be able to, and we are seeing a two-stop strategy here today for teams. So, Yuki Tsunoda is going to come out ahead of Alex Albon, I believe. Yes, as Albon is fighting Gabriel Bortoleto there as they go down side by side into turn one. Gabriel Bortoleto side by side. Does he come out ahead of the Williams driver? He does indeed. And Yuki Tsunoda, importantly, out a couple of seconds ahead of Gabriel Bortoleto on 10-lap-old fresher tyres, as Piastri comfortably dispatches Liam Lawson there with brand new softs compared to quite considerably used, medium compound tyres. So, let's see what the state of affairs is at the moment. You can see George Russell just did a 15.947 and he's done the fastest first sector of anyone thus far on a brand new set of hard compound tyres. Kimi Antonelli, a 16.1 last time around. Only a tenth quicker than that of Lewis Hamilton on 15-lap older hard compound tyres. Lando Norris on 24-lap-old hard compound tyres did a 16.7. So he is in clean air. He is extending this stint. We'll see what he's going to do. Is he going to try and eke this out, or is he going to go onto soft compound tyres at the end of this race, just like his teammate has done, to go on the attack? We will see. George Russell, fastest first sector. We'll see what he does overall on his lap time as he comes across the line now. Kimi Antonelli, much better from him, a 15.7. George Russell, a 15.393. Purple lap for George Russell, fastest of the day, just taking that away from Charles Leclerc last time around by 0.03 of a second on those brand new hard compound tyres. With the fuel burning off here, we can see that lap times are decreasing when you're on fresh rubber. Liam Lawson in P7 there. He is 2.7 seconds behind Oscar Piastri, and importantly 26 seconds ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, who is 16 seconds ahead of Pierre Gasly. That fight for the last point scoring positions is going to be interesting. Yuki Tsunoda is going to have to catch Fernando Alonso and overtake him out on track. Softs versus hards there for Fernando Alonso. Could he score a point here and take that point away from Yuki Tsunoda, who has fought so well for it today, and what would round off what is a brilliant stand-in weekend for Yuki Tsunoda after not participating in Formula 1 at all this year out on circuit until this weekend. As we run through the field, Hülkenberg, yes, P8. Gasly is P9 as Norris pits. Norris pits there as he is now into the pits. 26 laps on those hard compound tyres. We have 25 laps remaining. Lewis Hamilton will inherit the lead of this race as Antonelli is closing down that gap on Lewis Hamilton on those fresh hard compound tyres. Hamilton in the lead. Did a 1:16.5 last time around, whereas Antonelli did a 1:15.9. So half a second advantage per lap at the moment to Hamilton and Antonelli. We'll see what happens as Charles Leclerc on brand new hard compound tyres does a 1:14.9. The first driver to go sub 1:15 today. A brilliant lap from Charles Leclerc. He is a man who is angry, of course. He felt like he shouldn't have pitted, and well, he currently is being held up by Yuki Tsunoda just ahead of him as he's lapping him, as more than half the field have been lapped today. Guys, if you have enjoyed this stream, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you can hit that subscribe button, we are nearly at 90,000 subscribers. It'd be much appreciated with 10,000 of you here in the stream. If we could get this stream to over 3,000 likes as well, that'd be much appreciated. As Liam Lawson is into the pits. Liam Lawson now into the pits. 3.2 second stop for Lando Norris there. He comes out behind Antonelli, and well, here we go. Norris on 7-lap fresher hard compound tyres. Will that be enough? Will that be enough? We know catching is one thing, but overtaking is another. But the McLaren has been quicker on the hard compound tyres here today compared to Antonelli. No worries compared to their tyre management yesterday in the sprint race, where it did look like they were lacking a little bit compared to their competitors. But today, they have definitely fared very well, and especially on the hard compound tyres. So, Lando Norris, 7-lap younger tyres compared to Antonelli. We have 24 laps remaining. He's undoubtedly going to catch, but will he be able to overtake? Lewis Hamilton being caught by Antonelli at the moment. 2.1 seconds is the gap to Antonelli and Lewis Hamilton. Of course, he has 15-lap older tyres compared to his championship rival. As it stands, if Lewis was to win this race, you can see those championship standings. 25 points to Kimi's 18. But I don't think that will be the case for Lewis Hamilton. He's not going to be able to hold on to this position for 24 more laps, I presume. 18 seconds is the gap, of course. Pit stop lost time for Lewis Hamilton. He would come out at the moment just behind Charles Leclerc, with Charles Leclerc on 15 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Lando absolutely putting his foot to the metal here. Purple first sector, purple second sector. He was 0.3 of a second quicker in that first sector alone over Antonelli last time around, and he is just stuck 0.8 of a second on 0.9 of a second on Antonelli in that middle sector alone. Let's see what the gap is this time around. He's just done a 1:14.3. He's just done a lap that's 1.5 seconds quicker than Antonelli last time around. Of course, it'll be difficult to maintain that level of pace, but that is a tremendous lap there on those fresh hard compound tyres, and is a statement to Kimi Antonelli and Mercedes on the pit wall at the moment. Woo. 10,000 people get subscribed. Scott deserves it. Thank you, Margaret. Yes, yeah. If you if you are yet to subscribe to this channel, we're trying to, of course, hit 90,000 in the interim, but we're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers and continue to bring more content to you. These more watch-alongs. Make sure I don't miss any single one, and of course, more content to you as well. My driver ratings will be following the live stream later on this evening, and you can follow me for more content in general. Yeah, we'll keep you occupied in between race breaks. So, Lando Norris, a purple first sector. Again, he is steaming at the moment, Lando Norris. He is catching Antonelli at a rate of knots. And, well, at this pace, he does have the pace to overtake Antonelli. He has that tyre delta to get past the Mercedes driver. Hang on. Hamilton. They're asking Hamilton what he wants to do, and he's like, you guys have the data, sort it out, please. And that's rightfully so. He's trying to focus on driving. It's Fernando Alonso there being lapped by George Russell in P4. As Charles Leclerc is closing down that gap to George Russell. Lando Norris did a 14.3 last time around, another 1.5 seconds. He is closing 1.5 seconds per lap at the moment, Lando Norris, over Antonelli. That's 3 seconds in the last 2 laps alone, as Antonelli in turn is catching Lewis Hamilton on those used hard compound tyres. This is going to be a very interesting end to this race. How hard will Antonelli be able to defend, if at all? Charles Leclerc does a 14.8 last time around compared to George Russell. That's 0.9 of a second. That's 0.7 of a second advantage there that Charles Leclerc has just had on George Russell last time around as well. Very interesting end to this race. So Hamilton leads by 1.5 seconds to Antonelli, as Antonelli is now 0.7 of a second only ahead of Lando Norris. That middle sector, they are fall. They are so slow at the moment, the Mercedes in that middle sector compared to Lando Norris. Half a second gap is Lando to Antonelli. He smells blood. He wants 2 race wins in a row. Lando Norris, can he do it? He's definitely on course to do it, and he has 21 laps remaining to be able to do it. He has caught up to Antonelli. This is it. Catching is one thing, overtaking is another at Zandvoort, but he definitely has the tyre advantage and pace at the moment to overtake Antonelli, as he's got a great swing out slingshot out of turn 3 there. He's going to be applying the pressure over Antonelli, and rather than Antonelli looking so much ahead at the rear wing of Lewis Hamilton, he'll be more focused in his rear view mirrors at the papaya car, filling them up. And Antonelli, as he makes his way through the middle sector, let's see the extra level of grip that Norris has here on Antonelli. As Antonelli on the radios is told, still recommend wider line, exit turn 10. I can't do that. I have no rears, Antonelli says. And that's what we're seeing right here, as Lando definitely has more rears, as he stays within 4/10 of a second of Antonelli into the braking zone of turn 11. He's down to 3/10 of a second. He's got the grip. Can he stay close enough to him? But Antonelli is now within that 1 second range of Lewis Hamilton, who is on 26 lap old hard compound tyres. He has the slipstream of Lewis. He has the overtake mode, but will Lewis pit here? No, Lewis stays out, so he gives a bit of extra support for Antonelli for now. But Norris is 3/10 of a second behind and doesn't quite have enough to get side by side down into turn 1. But he, through every single corner, is gaining at the moment. And I don't think he has anything really to try and hold off Antonelli. Antonelli has anything to hold off Norris at the moment. Look at this, 2.5 of a second to Antonelli as they get to the top of the hill. Less than 2/10 of a second, Norris. He smells blood. He wants retribution. Yes, he won the championship last year, but he wants retribution for that DNF, that heartbreaking DNF that we thought cost him the World Championship this time last year. But he is loving it here at the moment, Lando. He has won here in the past, of course, as well. And Lando Norris could be getting 25 points. Many have thought, could he be the defending world champion, get back into this title race? Well, with a performance like this and a performance like in Hungary, never say never. Because who would have thought that McLaren would be quicker than Mercedes after what we've seen this weekend thus far? Lewis Hamilton holding off Antonelli and Norris at the moment, but Norris is all under the rear wing. He's less than 3/10 behind Antonelli. It's going to be very close between these three down into turn 1. Hamilton is going to hold up Antonelli. Norris looks to the outside of Antonelli. Can he get the move done? Is Norris got 2 in 1? Oh, he's gone ahead. They're side by side still through turn 2, and Norris gets the move done on Antonelli. And Norris will now look at the move on Lewis Hamilton on the slingshot out of turn 3 on those brand new hard compound tyres. Is he going to get past Hamilton down into turn 7? No, he does not. It's neck and neck, nose to tail from first to third. Hamilton on 20 old lap old hards. Norris on brand new hard compound tyres. Antonelli, he tried to hold on, but he is struggling on those hard compound tyres. Hamilton getting caught. It's more so a matter of time of when Hamilton gets overtaken by Norris with the level of pace that he's shown. And it could be down into turn 11 here as Hamilton does get overtaken by Norris. He slots in behind, and Norris is absolutely flying in that McLaren on those hard compound tyres. Norris gains the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix with 19 laps remaining. And there's a yellow flag. Ocon's gone off. Ocon's gone off. Are they going to pit? Is this going to be a safety car? Undoubtedly, if this is a yellow flag, Ocon has gone into the wall as Antonelli gets past Lewis Hamilton down into turn 1 and gains second place. But is this the safety car that Lewis Hamilton was hoping for? We will see. 9 seconds will be the advantage. There's a yellow flag. Where has Esteban Ocon pulled off? Is he in the wall? I'm not entirely sure. I'm still waiting to see the TV coverage to see exactly where Ocon has gone off. And well, there's a virtual safety car. Oh, dearie me, dearie me. Ooh, drama with 18 laps remaining. Will it be a full virtual safety car? Sorry, will it be a full safety car? We are about to find out. I'm waiting to see where Esteban Ocon has gone. And Ocon is pulled over to the left-hand side on the inside of turn 3. So that could be a safety car. We'll see. We'll see whether that will be a safety car. Right. Hamilton, we know you want this pit stop, but no, do not go over the delta and do not release that pit lane speed limiter any sooner than necessary, please. Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gents. Brilliant racing. Brilliant racing. Marshall's on track at turn 3. This is undoubtedly a pit stop here. And Lewis Hamilton will get a 9-second pit stop for himself. 9 seconds overall rather than the 18. That will bring Lewis Hamilton. Where is he going to go? Let's see. He's going to come out behind Leclerc. Is he going to come out ahead of... Leclerc's pitting as well. Oh! Leclerc has lost a position there. Leclerc has lost a position. So, Hamilton... They've given Hamilton the position. As Hamilton says, are you using me as a guinea pig or what the hell? What's going on? How long will you have me stay out? Hamilton wanted to come in. He wasn't happy. He's come in and now Hamilton is out ahead of Leclerc. And how happy will Charles Leclerc be about that? Cue the Leclerc radio messages. Let's see. Oh my goodness me. What will happen here? Hamilton on 7-lap-old softs. Leclerc on brand new softs. What an end to this race. 17 laps remaining here. Norris leads 2.23 seconds from Kimi Antonelli. George Russell in P3. Hamilton could be on course for a podium here. 3.1 seconds for Lewis Hamilton. And overall, Lewis Hamilton... 18 seconds overall, but while everyone obviously is having to trudge around, only a 9-second pit stop lost time overall, and he is going to be catching George Russell on 15-lap-old hards going to the end of this race at a very, very quick rate of knots. 17 laps remaining for Lewis Hamilton. He will catch George Russell. Will he be able to overtake him? I think he will. The soft lasted quite long at the start, and now they have less fuel, so probably fine. Undoubtedly so. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. By the way, we are nearly at 90,000 subscribers. Much appreciated. We still have a long way to go in this race as Kimi pits. Kimi pits. They're covering off Ferrari. Kimi is pitting and they're covering off Ferrari. They felt that maybe Lewis Hamilton on those soft compound tyres, they would be susceptible to Lewis and maybe Charles in the closing stages of this race. And Lewis Hamilton will be fighting Kimi Antonelli softs on softs for the closing stages of this race. And not only that, will Kimi be able to catch and overtake George Russell? You suspect he will. And George Russell will fight that tooth and nail. So I think we are going to get a very, very... Oh my goodness me. I just watched the replay of the overtake of Lando on Kimi. My goodness me. Last of the late breakers. That is just sweet symphony. Watch that replay back. That was beautiful to see just the gap open up and he took it. Right, so here we go. Clear track. We're about to get racing again here. VSC is ending. VSC is ending here. We are about to go green flag. Norris leads by 9 seconds over George Russell. It is his win to be had here. We're green. The track is clear. We are racing again at the Dutch Grand Prix. George Russell is on 16-lap-old hard compound tyres in P2, but he is going to be chased down upon with 16 laps remaining on by his teammate Kimi Antonelli, who is 6.3 seconds behind, and Hamilton, who is 1.3 seconds behind Antonelli on soft compound tyres. There are podium positions to be fought for here, and this is going to be very interesting, especially for the permutations of the overall championship, as you can see at the top right hand corner of your screen. Antonelli, if it stands, finishes P3, will gain 15 points. Russell will gain 18 points. As Norris says, do you think we need to take it? I'm a bit worried now. And they said, we're checking. And I don't think really Lando has to. I don't think the pace is there. But we'll see. Will Antonelli and Hamilton have the pace to catch Norris with those soft compound tyres at the end? I'll be very surprised if they're able to with 15 laps remaining. The pace that Norris has shown here today has been absolutely tremendous. Especially on that hard compound tyre, as Norris is 6.5 seconds ahead of Antonelli. We'll keep a keen eye on those interval times of Antonelli and Lewis Hamilton. This is what you call racing. Please get rid of Monaco. This race has been a lot more eventful than what the sprint race was. We had low expectations, and well, I think they're definitely being exceeded here today. But of course, Lewis Hamilton's pace on the softs hasn't been particularly great compared to his teammates on the medium and the hard compound tyre. But we'll see how they fare. Hamilton caught up a little bit by lapping Nico Hulkenberg there as Leclerc does do the fastest middle sector of the race in a bit of cleaner air. But as we run through the field, Norris leads by 7.1 seconds to George Russell, who's being closed down upon by his teammate Antonelli with 5.4 second gap. Hamilton on softs in P4. Charles Leclerc is on softs in P5. Piastri on softs in P6, but 14 seconds behind Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Liam Lawson, a bit of a lonely race for him today, but still a solid effort nonetheless. A shame that he didn't have really a direct comparison to Max Verstappen today after he lost out, of course, in that first lap incident, which brought out that early red flag. Hulkenberg is P8. He is the best of the rest at the moment, but is being closed down upon, if anything, by Fernando Alonso, is on 23-lap-old hards. Gasly did get back past Yuki Tsunoda. He's on mediums. As Russell says, just think about working as a team here if Kimi is out of the fight. A-firm is what Russell says. But Kimi is not out of the fight. And look at those sector times from Charles Leclerc last time around, as we have a slight delay here of the track map data when it matters most here. Come on, F1, sort it out. Give us the data that's necessary here. Yuki Tsunoda in P11, Arvid Lindblad is P12, Bortoleto 13th, Sainz 14th, Albon 15th, Colapinto is 16th, Perez 17th, Bottas 18th. We have retirements for Ocon. The two Haas's have retired here today. A retirement for Lance Stroll and a retirement for Max Verstappen, of course, with that crash in the first lap. So Lewis Hamilton losing a bit of time there, but he did have maybe struggled to get those used tyres up to, struggling to get those used tyres into maybe the right window. But Antonelli is definitely catching George Russell at the moment, as the track data is having an absolute Barney at the moment. Not entirely sure why. When it matters. It's been so good all race, as there we go, it is now fixed there. So some track limits being utilised there by a few teams, but as it stands, Antonelli would be gaining 15 points. George Russell would be up into P2 as he finishes ahead of Lewis Hamilton, would be 3 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton. It would be Mercedes 1-2 in the championship again. Lando Norris with 25 points would be closing that gap again and would be up to P4. 90 points behind Antonelli he would be, but still a long way to go in this championship. So Lewis Hamilton on those softs. Not quite a green first sector for him, but not as quick as his teammate who is on brand new softs. Kimi Antonelli definitely a lot quicker than Hamilton on those soft compound tyres, and is losing time, Hamilton to Antonelli at the moment. Antonelli is definitely going to be closing down and be overtaking probably George Russell in not that long of a time. 14.5 last time around compared to George Russell's 15.4. We're going to see them cross the line now and see what their lap times are, as Russell does a 15.4 again there with a green last sector, and Antonelli does a 14.7. So a significant pace advantage there. Antonelli understandably on a newer set of soft compound tyres compared to George Russell's 20 lap old hards, as Leclerc is flying on those soft compound tyres, as he does a 14.2, the fastest lap of the race of anyone today. Purple last sector for him, and he is looking to try and chase down his teammate, who is definitely struggling a bit more on soft compound tyres, as kind of has been the case for Lewis this weekend on the soft compound tyre. Oscar Piastri 13.8 seconds behind. Nothing really to note for him at the moment. Further down, the closest drivers out on track are Colapinto on Albon, who is being noted for an investigation for a yellow flag infringement earlier on. Franco Colapinto. So he's already received a drive-through penalty for a yellow flag infringement earlier on in the race. So him receiving a second one would not be too good. Oscar Piastri, a fastest first sector for him, but his race has really become undone today. I think his strategy could have worked with that hard compound tyre earlier on in the race, but they pitted him a bit too early. Alonso P9 is a great effort at the moment, yes, and his lap times are pretty damn handy on 25 lap old hard compound tyres compared to Gasly, who is on 15 lap old mediums. Oh dear, Lawson also noted for a yellow flag infringement as well, but any penalty for Liam Lawson I think would be okay, because he is 38 seconds ahead of Nico Hulkenberg. But I'm not entirely, that's probably a yellow flag infringement due to Esteban Ocon's yellow flag that he brought out earlier in VSC. Woo! Here we go. Closing stages of this race. 11 laps. It feels like it's been a very, very long race here at Zandvoort, with the stoppage at the start of the race and just the race in general. 72 laps at Zandvoort is definitely a long time. It may be a short racetrack, but 72 laps is a lot. And Lando Norris, well, it won't seem a lot to him, because it's plenty for him to get into the lead of this race and currently look like winning back-to-back races this year. George Russell, currently P2. Can he hold off Antonelli, who is charging him down with 11 laps remaining? He is on softs compared to hard compound tyres. George Russell maybe just looking after those hard compound tyres in preparation for that battle with his teammate. Lewis Hamilton, a bit better now. Seems to have got into the groove with those soft compound tyres. A 14.566 last time around. So finally got on top of those used soft compound tyres. Isn't quick enough compared to his teammate behind, but his teammate is 5 seconds behind. So if there is a battle between Antonelli and George Russell, this could allow Hamilton to capitalise here and maybe get a podium in the closing stages of this race. But you can see there a 14.6 for Hamilton last time around, a 14.8 for Antonelli, as Antonelli is maybe starting to hit the dirty air of his teammate up ahead, as George Russell did a 15.4. So next time around, next couple of laps, Antonelli will be under the rear wing of his teammate, you do suspect. And it wouldn't be long before Charles Leclerc, if that battle does hold up, Antonelli, that battle of Russell and Antonelli brings Hamilton into the fight. It could very quickly bring Charles Leclerc into the fight as well. And Charles Leclerc will be very aggressive, as we know, very aggressive when fighting his teammate. And when they smell a podium, of course, they're going to be going fighting tooth and nail for it. Bortoleto up into the 1 second range of Arvid Lindblad behind, who is 12 seconds behind his teammate. It does seem like, but unfortunately for Yuki, that last point, that point for him is going to be elusive, that solitary point, because Aston Martin have pulled off an absolute blinder of a strategy here today, going very long on the soft compound tyres and going very long on this hard compound tyre as well, unless Yuki is able to close down Fernando Alonso in the closing stages of this race. But Alonso, even if he gets overtaken by Gasly, looks like he could be scoring a point here today. So brilliant drive from Alonso and strategy from Aston Martin from what has started out to be a very poor weekend for them. But fighting for points on merit is definitely something that is a big positive for Aston Martin to take away here. So updates on the battle up top. George Russell 10.9 seconds behind Norris. Norris comfortably in the lead here. No worries for him. But Antonelli, he's got worries behind George Russell though, as Antonelli is catching. 1.5 seconds is the gap now. 15.0 last time around, as Antonelli is starting to catch and receive the dirty air from his teammate ahead, and that's allowing Hamilton to catch as well, as he did a 14.7. Charles Leclerc got a bit more clean air at the moment than his teammate up ahead, and Antonelli, he is doing 14.4s. So this could very quickly become a four-way battle here for a podium position. It depends how much George Russell is going to be able to defend P2 from Kimi here. Of course, he doesn't want to let his championship rival through. He's not thinking so much about the team right now. He wants to gain points on Kimi. He doesn't want to give this position up, but it's going to be very difficult to do so. But does Kimi have the pace in that soft compound tyre once he gets within that 1 second range? We will see. Lewis Hamilton will be looking to try and capitalise here. Let's watch the lap times as they cross the line now. Russell did a 15.6, Antonelli a 14.8, Hamilton a 14.9, and Charles Leclerc did a 14.694, so a 14.7, as Antonelli now finds himself out of the exit of turn 1 into turn 2, within that 1 second range of his teammate. But George is going to park it on the apex wherever he possibly can. We have not seen these two go wheel to wheel since Canada, all those races ago. And well, now we have it here. We thought it might be for the race win this weekend. We thought it might be at the race start, but no, we have not seen it. But with 8 laps remaining, we have Russell and Antonelli, P1 and P2, as it stands at the top right-hand corner of your screen in the Drivers' Championship, fighting for P2 and P3 at the Dutch Grand Prix, with a Lewis Hamilton closing them up close behind the top 3 in the championship. Nearly nose to tail, separated by just a few seconds out on track. Lando Norris catching Colapinto, Albon and Sainz there for the blue flags. But Russell is holding on just for now. But how long will he be able to hold on for? We have 7 laps remaining as Lando Norris crosses the line there. Hamilton 1.7 seconds behind. Antonelli is maybe stuck in 9/10 of a second. I thought he might gain a little bit there out of the last couple of corners, but no such luck for him. He gains a little bit down the start, finish straight a 10th or so. He will have overtake mode as he goes, whoa, late on the brakes there. Antonelli on George Russell, as George Russell, what happened there? Did he lock up? Oh no! What a Mercedes done! I cannot believe. What is that? Team orders for George? That is diabolical. That is absolutely diabolical. That is absolutely diabolical from Mercedes. You're fighting for the World Championship, and you have just been given team orders to give up the position. And he says, is he fighting for the... I think that's absolutely diabolical. And George should have said, do one. Absolutely do one. As Antonelli has been released and Hamilton is now looking at the rear wing of George Russell. I am so absolutely baffled by that instruction from Mercedes to give them through clear favouritism, undoubtedly. But that is absolutely ridiculous. You're fighting for a world championship, George. You should say, do one. So Hamilton on the back of George Russell now. As George Russell is told, yeah, I know. I mean, that. I think George needs to be. I think he should be fuming about that. But let's get back to the racing, though, as Lewis Hamilton is back on the rear wing of George Russell. And I tell you what, George Russell, after letting Antonelli by, might not even be scoring a podium himself. As Charles, and it could get even worse for George Russell. But I think George Russell should have at least been given the opportunity to fight against Antonelli. You're fighting for a world championship ultimately, but that is clearly where their loyalties lie at the moment with Kimi Antonelli. With Antonelli being the fastest out there. But Antonelli is not going to fight for this race win. So I think George Russell has a lot of questions to ask here. But even if Antonelli is fighting for the race win, I think he should be on the radio saying that he shouldn't. I'm fighting for a world championship here. So Hamilton, still under the rear wing of George Russell. Does he have enough with 6 laps remaining? It's probably just biding his time. He'll have, obviously, the overtake mode. George Russell no longer has George Russell no longer has the slipstream of his teammate up ahead either, as Hamilton does have that extra level of grip and he'll be hoping to get past George Russell before his teammate arrives on the scene as well. As Hamilton is closing on George Russell here. Is he going to be able to get George down into turn 1? But he has the extra level of grip, but not enough to swoop round there. As Colapinto's day goes from bad to worse, he's already received a drive-through penalty for a yellow flag infringement, and he's now received a 10-second time penalty for a yellow flag infringement, Colapinto. And that may be the case as well for Liam Lawson if Colapinto it was under investigation for one. Stay tuned for that at the top of your screens. But Hamilton still half a second behind George Russell at the moment, fighting with 5 laps remaining for a podium position here to try and stay within touching distance of Antonelli and to stay in the lead of George Russell. Stay in the lead, stay ahead of George Russell in the Drivers' Championship. As you can see there, they'd be on identical points, 183 points for George and Lewis Hamilton. We'll see whether he is going to be able to get there and get past him. He's very close. Look, 4.5 attempts. All the while, Charles Leclerc is gaining as a reconfirmation of Liam Lawson under investigation for the yellow flag infringement. Why blaming Toto? Because that message would have come from Toto. Definitely would have come from Toto. Fernando Alonso is 8 temps ahead of Pierre Gasly and holding on to that position and looking like he's going to score points even if he does get overtaken by Pierre Gasly. But Lewis Hamilton just lost a bit of time at the last couple of corners there to George Russell, but he's gaining and gaining and gaining. Is he going to be able to go deep on the brakes here and get past George Russell? I'm not so sure if he'll be able to. He's still 1.5 temps behind as George on those hard compound tyres struggles for grip and traction out of turn 1. Will Lewis Hamilton have the slingshot here of his life down into the turn 7 corner? We know the Mercedes is strong up the hill here, as it has been the fastest in the first sector all weekend. And yes, that's where Lewis Hamilton is unable really to capitalise out of turn 3. And it's going to have to take an almighty move. He's going to have to need overtake mode at some point to try and help him get past. As Albon dives into the pit lane here. What has been a very poor race from both the Williams duo as they've pitted, and they will now be last of the runners out there. As Alonso still holding off Pierre Gasly with Yuki Tsunoda in P11. A very good result this would be for Yuki Tsunoda. But let's stay on board with Lewis Hamilton. He's going nearly side by side with George down into turn 11. Nearly. George Russell there. He's been pushed out of position there by Lewis Hamilton. And Lewis Hamilton, you think, with just a good exit out of turn 13, with overtake mode, might have an opportunity here. He had a little bit of a look down into turn 1, but it doesn't look like it's the case. Oh, it's a VSC! Wow! Why is there a VSC of all times? Dearie me. There's a lot of debris, and there you go, a 10-second time penalty confirmed for Liam Lawson as well. A VSC for clearing debris out on track. So through turn 7, there's quite a bit of debris that they're looking to try and sweep away. A double yellow there. This is... wow, Lewis was lining up a move. Lewis was lining up another move and the VSC comes out and now he has Charles right on his behind as well. 3 laps remaining and this could thwart Lewis Hamilton's chances of a podium here. We will see. Recovery vehicle on track at turn 5. VSC ending. Okay, so the VSC is now ending. Here we go. And the race is restarting in the corners here. So that might help Lewis Hamilton. George Russell's tyres maybe just cooled a little bit here as we go racing with 2.5 laps remaining of the Dutch Grand Prix. Lando leads by 14 seconds over Kimi Antonelli. Antonelli, a dubious call for Antonelli to be let past George Russell when they're fighting for a world championship. We'll discuss that after the race. But Antonelli in P2. But all eyes on George Russell. This battle for the podium position between Hamilton and Russell with 2 laps remaining here. As, oh my goodness, the reason the Williams duo have had to pit is because they made contact. As Alex Albon locked up and went straight into the side of his teammates, fighting for no positions at all. But Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, they're separated by half a second at the moment. Lewis might have had an opportunity there with that VSC. Without that VSC, but we don't know, as actually it was Carlos Sainz into the side of Alex Albon. Apologies there. That's why the 2 Williams, as Albon is now retired from this race. And I think Sainz will be deemed at fault for that with the big lockup and causing his teammate to retire. But Hamilton, less than half a second behind George Russell. He really needs, he's going to have one more opportunity here as we're on the penultimate lap of this race. He's going to have one more opportunity at down into turn 1. Will Lewis go for it? They'll be on identical points in the Drivers' Championship on 183 points apiece in P2, but importantly, Antonelli will be extending his championship lead again to those 2 of George Russell and Lewis Hamilton, where they finish where they are. Hamilton in P4 at the moment. Is he going to be late on the brakes into turn 11? He needs to stay close out of turn 13, but I don't think he's quite got enough. He needs to dump every single bit of battery that he's got, and all the while Charles Leclerc will be waiting to capitalise. And you can see he's under 4 tenths of a second behind George Russell as they exit turn 14. He is close, but is he going to be close enough here? He's going to have to be careful with Charles Leclerc behind. Is he going to go deep on the brakes around the outside into turn 1? He's not close enough, but maybe he has the grip necessary. Round turn 1, he's going for it. He's less than a tenth behind, but George Russell holds on for now on the final lap of this race as Lando makes his way down into turn 8 through the middle sector. And well, George Russell, he is strong up here through the hill. Charles Leclerc, surely he's not going to have a nab at the heels of Lewis on this last lap. I bet he probably will, as they went down into turn 7 there. It's 7 tenths of a second Hamilton to George Russell, and I think Hamilton might have dumped everything that he possibly could to try and get past George into turn 1. And I think what has happened there is that VSC has unfortunately thwarted any opportunity of getting a P3 for Lewis Hamilton on George Russell there. But as we are on the last lap, Lando Norris rounds the last corner and it's 2 in a row. Is it championship back on for Lando Norris as he wins the Dutch Grand Prix? 2 races in a row and he moves up into 4th in the Drivers' Championship. Kimi Antonelli, he's going to come across the line in very dubious circumstances in relation to team orders with his championship rival and teammate George Russell. He finishes in P2, George Russell P3, and Hamilton in P4 as Charles nearly took Lewis Hamilton out at turn 7. Deary me. Why goodness there. Charles Leclerc nearly just took out Lewis Hamilton and himself in the last lap. But Hamilton finishes P4. Charles Leclerc P5. Oscar Piastri P6 with Liam Lawson in P7. Nico Hulkenberg is in P8 with Alonso scoring 2 points in P9. Unbelievable from Aston Martin and Alonso. Gasly is in P10 with Tsunoda in P11. Lindblad P12. Bortoletto 13th. Colapinto 14th. Perez 15th. Sainz 16th. Albon retired in 17th. After that collision with Sainz. Bottas 18th retired. Ocon retired. Stroll retired. Behrman retired. And of course Verstappen out on the first lap. Wow. Let's do your driver of the day. Can I not do a poll? Why can't I do a poll? I can't run a poll for some reason. Let's have a look at those drivers' standings, shall we? There you go. There you go. Driver standards. Antonelli on 242 points. He extends his championship lead by a further 3 points today. 6 points overall over the course of this weekend. Russell, P2 now, 183 points. We'll talk about it in a second, those team orders. Hamilton, P3, he is now on 183 points as well compared to Russell. Norris catching the two of them. He's on 159 points. That's 50 points in 2 races for 52 points, 50 points in 2 races for Lando Norris. Charles Leclerc, P5, he drops down to P5. Verstappen, no points for him. Piastri, P7. Lawson, 6 points for him. He gains points on Gasly and moves up back into P9 as Gasly scores a point there. Hulkenberg, great race for him this weekend. He scores 4 points. And Fernando Alonso scoring 2 points, 3 points overall for him now. He moves up into P19. Yuki, just because of where he finished on countback, is ahead of Stroll, Bottas and Perez. He's already ahead of Stroll. And then Aston Martin scored 2 points here. They have 3 points. So there we go. There we go. Alonso in the points. Wow. Why can't I start a poll? For some reason, I can't start a poll. Maybe it's because I didn't end the one earlier. But there we go. Probably the best GP of the year. My previous poll is still active. I can't actually see my previous poll. That's the thing. There it is. I got it. Right. End poll. There we go. Right. Let's do that poll. Driver of the day. Thank you everyone for subscribing, by the way. We're nearly at 90,000 subscribers. If you can do, it'd be much appreciated. Who are we doing driver of the day? I need to have a look. Hang on. So we do Hulkenberg, I think. Alonso. Should we do... I'll do Norris. And then... I think that's it, really. Woo! There we go. There we go. Let's turn that off. Bit cooler now. Oh, that was hot going. That was, yeah. 2 wins in a row. Yeah, we're 50 subs away. 50 subs away. I think I have noticed a downturn in the viewing figures. I do think with Max Verstappen crashing out, I do think that had an adverse effect on viewership. You'll go with Norris because of how fast he was, but Alonso needs his vote. Am I ready for the Malaysian Grand Prix? I am indeed, yes. I am indeed. But, dearie, what? So, Kimi Antonelli did say about... Did come on the radio. In fairness to him, he came on the radio afterwards and said, I don't think that was necessary. So, fair play to Kimi. He says, I don't think that was necessary. I think that was too risky for the both of us. So, Kimi, in fairness to him on the radio... admits that probably wasn't the right decision. Of course, he'll take it because he's gained more points on his championship rivals. But I think from a team perspective, I think that's a diabolical decision to let Russell... I mean, you saw how Russell held up Hamilton and Leclerc there. He could have done that with his own teammate. And they're fighting for a championship. What was this about no team orders? So, yeah, if you want to know where loyalties lie, there you go. You got your answer, George Russell fans. That's where Toto and Mercedes' loyalties lie at the moment. Because he's not mathematically out of the championship, Russell, by any means. And he would have been gaining on his championship rival and leader, his teammate, in that scenario. And I'm surprised George gave that up. I'm surprised George was so much of a team player there and gone, well, if he's fighting for the win, I think he should have gone, no, I'm fighting for the championship. It's not happening. Putting your foot down. We race. If he overtakes me, then fair enough. But... we race. Of course, Norris driver of the day. Yeah, get your votes in for driver of the day, guys. Driver of the day. Where are my polls going? My polls are going. Alonso, 45%. I mean, what a drive. I mean, look at what he did. Look at what Alonso did. on his tyre strategy. He did. That's pretty much relevant here. He did 32 laps on the softs. And then did 37 laps on the hards. Brilliant. Go. Hey, thank you for the gift. Leclerc really disappointed with his immaturity today for sure. Ferrari has not shown Lewis the respect. Ferrari definitely dilly-dallied on that decision, and they should have 100% swapped them sooner because they were on different strategies. And yeah, Leclerc, I get Leclerc because if Leclerc isn't told to move aside, then he shouldn't move aside, to be fair, because they're racing. But it's the team to come on the radio and go, get out of the way. Like, get out of the way. You're on different strategies, do it. And they're so adverse to doing that. There was 11,000 at the end. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. I'm still happy with 11,000 viewers. Obviously, it's still a lot lower than what I kind of expected us to achieve. Normally, I'd expect to see around 20k, upwards of 20k. But I think Max going out... There's a lot of Max viewers. And I think Max going out on the first lap didn't help, of course, especially his home race. I went for Norris and I don't like him. Maybe I should have went for Alonso. I think Norris had a tremendous race. He really did. I don't think it was driver of the day race, but he had a tremendous race. And he had to get the overtake done out on track. So, thankfully today, the tyres, unlike yesterday in a sprint race, which made us worry that the tyres would last forever, thankfully, we had a two-stop race today. And those hard compound tyres could not do 50-plus laps. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that provided intrigue because we had variance in strategies. Toto favours Kimi because he's better. And I don't deny that he's better this season. But you can't preach that you're going to give each driver a fair opportunity and there's no team orders and they're allowed to race. And then issue team orders when George Russell has, found himself in P2 due to him managing his tyres and doing what he's doing within the race. To end up... to then go, oh, you need to move out of the way. But no, I'm going to be gaining on my championship rival here. If he wants to beat me, he can beat me out on track. That was a much better race than the sprint race. Oh, it was night and day, wasn't it? It was absolutely night and day. Absolutely night and day. So let's bring the championship standings here. And then we can move you guys up here. And then I can go bigger. Slightly. Almost at 90k. Yeah, we are almost at 90,000 subscribers. Guys, if you can hit that subscribe button, please. 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 Let's get to 90,000. I feel like it's taken me forever to get to 90,000 from 80 to 90. I was mad at McLaren in Monza about their swap because of the slow pit stop despite them being 1-2 in the championship. But this Merc swap was a lot worse as there wasn't really any good reason. No, there was no good reason for it. And I wonder, I want to see if there's anyone on Twitter who, obviously you can see Twitter. I want to see what people's reactions are online. Oh, apparently Franco Colapinto's penalty. Yeah, Franco Colapinto's penalty was ridiculous. I've just seen it now. Yuki had to swerve. Max Verstappen's wheel at the start of the race, and Colapinto had to avoid Yuki, and then obviously got the position, and they've given him a yellow flag infringement for it. That's bizarre, to be honest with you. I want to see if there's any faults on that Mercedes. Why is there no... It dropped to 3,000 on the last lap before the checkered flag. Did it really? Yeah, people saying, cannot believe Mercedes have asked for that one. Crazy cool. Russell has become Bottas. They refused to pit him, left him out on whole tyres, called for team orders and left him to fend off drivers on soft tyres. Mercedes masterclass. Yeah. It is wild. It is wild. Oh, thank you, Tim. Thank you for the 5. Much appreciated, buddy. So, driver of the day, 44% goes to Alonso. He just pips Lando Norris. I'm surprised, actually, so many gave Lando that drive. I think Hulkenberg deserves credit as well. Let's do, rate the... I don't think anyone's going to give it that. Maybe some Max fans will give it that. Oh, hang on. There we go. Do I think Toto actually had a reason? So give me your votes, by the way, guys. Close poll. So, do I think Toto actually had a reason to swap Kimi and Russell, or just favouritism? So his reasoning for swapping them will be he was on a different strategy and he was fighting for P2 anyway. Something like that will be like the decision. And he had an outside chance of winning the race. That, I think, will be his reasoning. I think that's like complete like bollocks, to be honest with you. And I think George they decided to pit Antonelli onto the softs. They didn't have to. They could have left him out there on track position. They decided to do it. And if I'm George Russell, I'm sitting there going, no. Like, I've decided not to come in and pit. I don't know the conversations that were had. There might have been some conversations that were had between Kimi and Bono on the pit wall in relation to, yeah, we're going to pit under the VSC. But George, I think, is rightfully within his right to say, well, no, I didn't want to pit under VSC, so no, he has to overtake me, and I'm fighting for a championship. Don't make those decisions and put him behind me then, and expect me to just completely move out of the way. Great race, but you truly missed Verstappen. Yeah, it would have been. I'm disappointed Verstappen was actually out, because I would have loved to have seen a direct comparison for Lawson. The Red Bull this weekend was just like not there. Also, different strategy as well. Liam didn't use the hard compound tyre at all in this race. Look, he used the softs and then used 2 sets of mediums. So he didn't use any. He didn't use any at all. Thank you. Welcome to the pit crew, Michael. Much appreciated. George is now just there to support Kimi. What a mess Mercedes has become. I think that's why they don't really want to. I think that's why they're not fussed about going for Max, because it upset the apple cart of Kimi Antonelli now. Mercedes made a good call there. It would have just been the same thing Charles did to Lewis earlier, made him lose time for no reason. But the difference is, though, Star, is that George is fighting Kimi for a world championship. This isn't George who is like in 5th place in the championship, which Charles is. No, this is George who would be gaining points on his championship rival and moving himself back into 2nd in the championship and gaining points on Kimi. That is a completely different set of circumstances. And in that scenario, you do not issue team orders. That's what I think. Love them both, George and Kimi. They're both strong, amazing drivers. Yeah, look, George did have a good weekend. He did have a good weekend. The race wasn't as good for him, but the sprint race, of course. But yeah. The Red Bulls didn't have the pace to take on the other top cars, so Lawson just cruised it home. Yeah, exactly. And Lawson had a very good race, I think. It's a shame that he didn't have that benchmark and that direct comparison to Max, because that would have been what we would have seen today. It would have been a very lonely race for both Red Bull drivers, I think. And then his strategy as well. I mean, it's difficult to even compare Lawson's race to anyone out there, because he had such a unique strategy today. I think he's the only driver who did that strategy. He's the only driver that didn't use the hard compound tyre today. Everyone on this grid today has at least used a hard compound tyre once, and he didn't. So that is strange. That is a bit strange from Red Bull, but maybe they wanted to do some data gathering. You never know. They might have literally just gone, you know what? We're not going to be finishing P. We're not going to be finishing any further up. We might as well just like gather some data. Maybe that's what they wanted to do, but... Last year, McLaren nearly lost the championship by splitting the points between Lando and Oscar. Mercedes can see McLaren and Ferrari coming and don't want to make the same mistake. I think at this stage in the championship, though, you can still let them fight. I don't think... Yes, you can maybe think that, but I think... I don't know. Yeah, but the thing is that they'll come out and they'll be they won't openly admit, and this is the thing, is that they won't come out and openly admit, oh, well, yeah, we did it because Kimi is the championship leader. No, they'll completely like gaslight us. That's the issue that I have when it comes to, like, they won't openly come out and say, yeah, George is the second driver now in this championship at the moment. They will gaslight us and say it was because of strategy and because we decided to pit him behind and we wanted to secure a 1-2, 2-3 or whatever. Marie, welcome to Pit Crew, much appreciated. And those of you, I don't ask for it, of course, but some of you yesterday said you tried to make a donation. Thank you, and that the link wasn't working. It's now working. 13 more subs. Yeah, not long to go. You can do it, guys. Charles should through. He is too selfish. I mean, Charles definitely puts himself first, understandably. But in that scenario, that's not down. Look, I don't begrudge any driver giving up a position if they're not told to do so. That's absolutely fine because you're racing. But it's up to the team to sit there and go, they're clearly on different strategies. Lewis is much quicker at the moment. He's on different strategy. Let him by. That's literally all that needs to go. Charles, you're on different strategies. Let Lewis through. Simple as. And then obviously how that plays out as the race unfolds. Obviously then if they meet again out on track, then you can go, okay, Charles, you was ahead, blah, blah, blah. Like swap positions again. But unless that call comes through, it's the blame's on Ferrari, not so much on Charles. Charles is the second driver this year, 100% now. Yeah, sorry, George. George is the second driver this year now, 100% after that decision. 100%. You can't convince me otherwise. Kimi new engine. Kimi will have the greatest car in the world. God, I hope yeah, he's going to be strong in Monza. Could be very strong in Monza. Oh dear, we're going Monza next, aren't we? Oh, what is that race going to be like? Ooh. Ferrari's communication with the drivers. Yeah, it was poor. It was very poor. So, your votes for the race today. Rate the Dutch GP out of 10. I did suspect some of you would vote it 1 to 4. Are you Max Verstappen fans by any chance? Because he went out on the first race, the first lap. I get it. 7 to 8 out of 10. I would say, I would give that a 9 out of 10, you know. I think I would. I think we had obviously the chaos at the start of the race. We then had like battles, will-to-will battling out there. Strategic intrigue. I think that was a great race. I really do. Stark contrast to what we had yesterday in the sprint race. I'd give that a 9 out of 10. I'll leave it up a bit longer for you guys to vote, though. What am I doing? You accidentally pressed the 1 to 4, went in the 9 to 10. Unbelievable. Toto factored the upcoming Italian race penalty for Kimi. Maybe, but I think if Kimi's got that brand new power unit in the car, it doesn't matter. He's still going to be super quick. And we know on the circuits where energy recovery is difficult, like Monza, the Mercedes is the best car. Do I think Charles was robbed? No, I don't think he was robbed. No. Charles had the better tyre and he had a better chance to catch the Mercs to the end. Ferrari are fighting for constructors too, though. Yeah, I don't know. I think the way I need to go back and see exactly the strategies. I don't know. I wouldn't say Charles was robbed. No. But I need to go back and see whether, like, them... The only thing I can think of that might be a bit dubious was them pitting Charles under the VSC behind Lewis. I thought Charles would stay out, and I thought Hamilton would have to come in and like re-overtake him. That's the only thing that I can think of for Ferrari that might not have been the right decision with between Charles and Lewis, and not obviously to swap in the positions, but in particular obviously Charles and Lewis there. That's what I think. Thank you, Robin. Thank you. Honestly, if people want to tell me I'm handsome all the time, please. And let me just. I'm going to snip that, and I'm going to show the missus. No, I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it was. I tell you what, that's one of the hardest. I feel like that race felt a lot. Obviously, it has been a lot longer. It's 4:30 UK time. We have had a very long stream here because of the 40-minute delay that we had with the red flag. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love spending time with you guys. I've got to do, obviously, my driver ratings this evening, so be sure to check those out. You can let me know if you disagree or agree with my driver ratings. Lawson, let's talk about Sonoda, shall we? Let's talk about Sonoda. What round of W's in the chat for Sonoda, by the way. What a weekend it's been for Sonoda. What a weekend. He, finishing P11. Yes, you can sit here and go, oh, there's been some freebies there. But you know what? He held his own out there this weekend. He finished only 4.6 seconds behind Pierre Gasly in an upgraded Alpine as well. And I think, he got his elbows out. He had some good overtakes. A brilliant, brilliant performance. And I think that performance alone this weekend is gonna have some conversations for next year. I do think it might be very difficult for him to be on the grid next year because I think there's not going to be too much change. But that may get him in the Aston Martin setup, being a reserve driver with the Honda connection there, with Fernando Alonso maybe moving on next year. But then Fernando Alonso, look at what he's still been able to do. But of course, he is getting older. Yeah, I think he definitely. That is definitely a performance that's worthy of some conversations up and down the grid. I commentate better than Crofty. Well, look, I'm not going to diss Crofty. Crofty, I think, does a very, very good job. I think when you do listen to other commentaries and stuff, they're not as I think you kind of realise what you miss when Crofty isn't there. But yeah, obviously, what we do here is what we try to do. I just try to be myself, basically. Bad for Russell, diabolical decision. I thought Papaya rules are worse. Yeah, I still think, dodgy. I want to see if there's. I'm going to stay online until they interview Toto because I think they will interview Toto, and I want to hear what he's got to say, what he's going to gaslight us with. I don't think Charles had to pit under the second VSC. Could have stayed out, then swapped with Lewis. No. Well, that's what I think, Jack. I think. Let me go back into my stream and let me check. Oh, I've just seen a radio message from Lewis Hamilton. He is pissed. Thank you, Lewis. A bit unlucky with Russell, his engineer says. We weren't unlucky. We lost time earlier on, and that cost us P3. Lewis is not a happy bunny. And we can discuss it offline, is what he says. He is not happy at all. Damn. Wow. You've watched a lot of watchalongs, and I'm the best one I've ever seen. And thank you, Savage. Much appreciated. As I said, we just tried to be ourselves here. Very, very poor from Charles. I'm still not putting the blame on Charles, though, Taco. He's running his own race. He is not going to move over unless he's told to do so. That solely is on Ferrari. And also, Charles fights tooth and nail with his teammate. The last person he ever wants to lose to is his teammate. And we've seen that already this year, that he fights Lewis super hard. That's just his character. That's just the way that he goes racing. So if you know that, you know even more so, as soon as Lewis is catching Charles at a rate of knots, you get on the blower and you go, Charles, get out of the blooming way. You're on a different strategy. You're going to hold Lewis up. Simple as. But they didn't. Yeah, but they told him to pit. But telling him to pit is not the same as telling him you're on different strategies. Get out the blooming way. Getting him, this is the thing. Ferrari have shirked. That's like them. It's like soft parenting. What they've done there is soft parenting. Rather than just being straight and upfront and saying, Charles, get out of the bloody way. They have gone, well, we're going to get... The way to get Charles out of the way of Lewis is to box him. But then he's gone, well, no, I don't want to box because I feel like I'm in a good position with my tyres. They've soft parented Charles. They need to be strong. And tell him, get out of the blooming way. Ferrari can't make a decision. I think they don't want to ask Leclerc to move out of the way, so they pitted him. Yeah, exactly that. They lost themselves 3 seconds easy podium. Yeah. And then look, I think Lewis would have got George if it wasn't for that VSC. He was literally about to line up a move, and I think he would have had him. But of course, that gave an opportunity for them to settle, and then Lewis obviously wasn't able to get close. And Charles, you haven't seen the last lap. Oh my goodness. Charles nearly took out. He nearly took out himself and Lewis. He nearly yeeted Lewis into the beach on turn 7. Like, so close. So close. Do I think we might see Yuki at Haas? The only thing that makes me think he might not be at Haas is the Toyota connection. Yuki had strong links to Honda, always has done. Toyota, obviously now kind of pretty much part own Haas. So I think that may be a sticking block, but maybe not. I'm your nightshirt radio, thank you. And yeah, Dan, you said, well, I have a calming voice. Oh, thank you. I'm going to snip that and tell my missus that as well when she tells me to shut up when I'm talking. Charles nearly did that on the start too. Yeah. But I mean, look, Charles is super aggressive when it comes to obviously his teammate, and that's fine. Like, you can be aggressive, and that's what makes Charles Charles. But when your teammate is quicker than you in that particular part of the race, you tell them Ferrari need to be stronger and get on the radio, and that's obviously what they're not good enough at doing. So Charles does just not trust Ferrari to make the best decisions for the team. Hamilton shouldn't either, because when he takes his own calls, he gets a better result. Yeah. But I'm sure they'll have some... I mean, what I would say Hamilton has done is that Hamilton has done, since he's come into Ferrari, made positive changes within the team. And I'm sure this will be one of those as well, where he'll go, no. Like, you need to change that. And I think Hamilton, being the elder statesman, like, you don't often hear that from Hamilton. You don't often hear him that irate on the radio. He was like... That was definitely a man who was not happy. And, yeah, he will, I think, undoubtedly... ask for change in that scenario next time around. Merck showed Ferrari how to win championships there. Yeah, I still disagree with the decision though, to swap Russell and Antonelli. I still vehemently disagree a bit, but 100% agree. Trust into Ferrari straight is lost. They don't have Charles' best interest in mind. Yeah, but the question is now. Let me just do the maths. It's 83 points between Lando and Antonelli. It's 83 points. Is it more likely for Lando to win this championship than it is George Russell and Lewis Hamilton? I think it may be. 2 race wins in a row. He's the only driver other than he's the only driver other than the Mercedes duo to win multiple races, right? Am I right in that? I am right in that. Only George Russell has won 2 races. Kimi has won 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 6 races. And Nando's won 2. I did say the only way a driver like Lando or Max can win this championship from so far behind is if they become dominant all of a sudden. He's comfortably been the fastest driver in the last 2 race weekends. And the sprint race could very well have been a different set of circumstances if he, like, you got to remember, he didn't get pole position by just half a tenth of a second. Smallest of fractions there. He could have had a clean sweep this weekend, Lando. So, I think Lando, and I said it at the start of the year, I did say at the start of the year, in my Drivers' Championship predictions, obviously this is prior to us knowing the difficulties they had with reliability, but I said, I think people are sleeping on Lando Norris. And he's my pick to defend his World Championship. That's what I said. I think he has if the Mercedes is this good, if the McLaren is this good moving forward, I think Monza will be a great test. That's going to be a great test to see whether McLaren have really closed up the gap to Mercedes across the board, because we know that those low energy recovery circuits, Mercedes is the best car. And if McLaren can even kind of... I think if McLaren can stay within touching distance of Mercedes at Monza, I think you're going to see a... I think we could see a very, very... we could see a charge from McLaren in the remainder of this season. Literally 1.4k watching and 6 people can't subscribe. Or maybe those 1.4k watching are already subscribed. You ever thought of that? But no, thank you guys. Look, regardless if we hit 90k or not, if you can do, there's 5 more of you. It'd be much appreciated. It's a great milestone to achieve. And then I can update that subscriber goal to 100,000 subscribers. Does Piastri have updates on his car? I think so. I think Piastri this season has just struggled to get to grips with these cars and how they operate. He's shown glimpses, but mostly he has struggled, especially compared to Lando, who says he doesn't like driving the cars, but has been able to get on top of them. And there's also a different air of confidence around Lando. I've said this before. His radio messages are so much more confident now. Like he believes in himself. He's won that Drivers' World Championship, and he's acting like he's won a Drivers' World Championship. Like people will call it arrogance. I call it confidence. He's got what he set out to achieve in his career. He's got that, and he's like, yeah, I am the bollocks. I am good at what I do. And he's probably sat down and gone, no, like I have that. Like you gain credit in the bank, don't you, when you've got a Drivers' World Championship? Same way Max Verstappen has, same way Lewis Hamilton has. Like they're able to say things to their team that other drivers aren't able to because they've achieved what they've achieved. And Lando now, even though he's been there obviously since he was like a kid at McLaren, he now knows he can say those things and be a lot more outright and forthcoming with his comments and when he's like not happy with something. Hey, 90,000. Thank you, everyone. Mwah, 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 mwah. Thank you. Should we do that now? Should we do the... Here we go. I can finally do this. Hang on. $100,000 subscriber goal. We're on our way. We're on our way. Will Ferrari be stronger than McLaren in Monza? No. It's the short answer. No. Now, thank you guys. Thank you, everyone. Look, 90,000 subscribers is an unbelievable amount of following. That's Wembley Stadium. Plan for 100k celebrations. We'll sort that out when we get there. Long way to go. Still a long way to go. So, 100k by my birthday. What, a month's time? Oh my God, you're setting an ambitious target. A month's... How many races have we got in the next month? Upcoming. What have we got upcoming? Let's have a look. I'm still waiting to hear from Toto Wolff, by the way. So we have Monza coming up next. Then we have Spain and Azerbaijan. So we have 3 races in the next month. That's a tall order. But yeah, by the end of the year. By the end of the year. Proud to be a part of this family. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lubit. Look, as I said, love doing these watch-alongs for you all. I hope you enjoy the content as well. I'm trying to put out, obviously, more like video content and stuff. Just, obviously, putting my thoughts out there and things. And, yeah. Hopefully, one day, it's a full-time gig and we can provide you even more content. Some more real-life content. Maybe, like, you never know. Stuff with drivers, stuff with teams. Get invited to certain events that I can obviously share with you all. And of course, providing you these watch-alongs, what I love to do. We all went to hear Toto. I know, I haven't heard Toto yet. I haven't heard him. And I know why Lando won today. because my little girl is in a McLaren top. So I take full credit for Lando winning today. The top brought McLaren good luck. Hope I get to 1 million subs before 2027. God dear me. I don't need 1 million subs. I really don't. She's the reverse shirt curse, yeah. It's not a papaya one. It's like a different McLaren top, but it is a top. It's McLaren top. 12 races, 10 wins from pole, all from the front row. Is that really? Jesus. Shout out to Liam for P7. Yeah, I'll talk more about Liam in my driver ratings video later on this evening, but I'll be recording for you all. So you can listen to that obviously this evening or to your Monday morning commute and stuff. So you think Ferrari will upgrade? They will upgrade, but they still don't have enough. Like, they're so down on power still. They just don't. I think this year they're not going to have had the development in that engine, even with the duo stuff, to bring, I think, a good enough engine this year. They might also be thinking it's more so about next year, putting that duo development into next year. You've got to remember, just upgrading an engine isn't like an overnight thing. It takes a considerable amount of time to do. So, yeah. My commentary is worlds better than German broadcasting. Today it was a bit better with Timo Glock replacing Ralf Schumacher. Oh, thank you. I can't comment on German commentary because I've never listened to German commentary, because I also don't understand German, so I wouldn't have a foggy of what they're saying. Apart from Scheiße, which I don't think is probably allowed on air. But we can say that here. End the poll for Rate the Dutch GP. By the way, thank you for these gifts. I don't know what these gifts are, so thank you. If they are money, if it is money that you're sending me, thank you very much. It doesn't pop up on my Streamlabs timeline thing yet. I just see it pop up in the chat. So, thank you. I'll do a bit more research into what they are. Put the baby in a Ferrari 44 shirt. Do you know what I'll do? I'll set up a PO box and you guys can send in all baby shirts for my little one to wear. And we'll have a vote. I'll run a poll heading up to the race weekend of which shirt we want her to wear to be the good luck charm. Ferrari, Jazz, that is a perfect line there. That is on the money. Jazz says Ferrari needs to upgrade their decisions. Bang on the money there. That is a A-star comment. 100% true. Your daughter's fluent in German. Wow. I would love her to... Yeah, I might get her to learn Spanish. Oh, here, right. Toto Wolff interview. I need to turn down my volume. Toto's talking. My stream's on a little bit delayed. Right. Monza's in 2 weeks' time. Just listening to Toto, guys, so apologies for the silence just now. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, everyone. I'm just listening to Toto. Oh, you're just an absolute... I knew he'd gaslight us. Hang on. So he's saying the reason they swapped is because it's something that they discussed this morning, and that we don't care about the positions in the championships and the points in the championship. It's about protecting the best result that we possibly can get. And he's basically saying that it was better to protect. It was better to use Russell to protect against the Ferraris on their behind than it was to use Kimi. What, like? No, like, absolute. How can you sit there and say, like he says, we're not going to let them fight and lose time? We discussed this before when we've got 2 Ferraris up our behind. That is absolute cop out. Thank you, Talix. Yeah, you have summed that. Oh, listen to the team orders again back now. Hang on. So Russell said on the radio, just think about working as a team here if Kimi is out of the fight. Yeah, they're allowed to race but make them swap. Exactly, Jack. Nico Rosberg's on the stand. I want to hear what Nico's got to say. Because, of course, Mercedes worked with Toto. Nico says it was fair at the time. I disagree. He says we have to... He goes, we have to let them fight. He goes, we have to prioritise the team. I disagree with that, Nico. I'd push back on that. I disagree. I completely disagree. Because George Russell has been coming off at the back of this season, back off this summer break, right? And he's like, it's like, can he get ahead of Kimi? He's done that at the start of this weekend. Yes, in the race, hasn't necessarily worked for him, but he's found himself, due to them deciding to pick Kimi. They didn't have to pick Kimi. They've decided to pick Kimi, and he has found himself, because he is doing the strategy that he's doing, ahead of Kimi. It's up to Kimi to then challenge him for it, to challenge him for that position on the fresher tyres that you've given him, and then to defend it. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, rather than letting them get by and then, let George fight tooth and nail the Ferraris. I have heard what Lewis has said after the race to his engineer. Yes, I have. Rightfully so. Did I think Kimi should have stayed close to Russell to give him overtake to protect against Ferrari? No, because unless that order comes from the team, why is he going to leave himself also vulnerable as well? Nico wants to say more, but he ain't trying to get fired. Well, I don't want to be that person, but Nico does really like Kimi. He has like a connection to Kimi Antonelli, obviously with like him racing for his go-kart team when he was growing up. So I think he's probably obviously wants Kimi. I mean, Nico Rosberg, I like Nico Rosberg because of how outspoken he is, but he is calculated in obviously like having associations. I don't know if you know, but Nico loves to talk up how Lewis is the greatest of all time, because it makes his championship a lot more valid and a lot more impressive that he has beaten the greatest of all time. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like, he does that all the time. We're talking about Lewis, where it's a bit like, all right, dude, like, calm down. So he will be very, obviously have an association with Kimi. If Kimi wins the World Drivers' Championship, he will have an association via another Drivers' World Champion, but he obviously raced for his go-kart team and stuff. So, do I think Russell did so well because of his new wife? Listen, happy wife, happy life, right? Not quite his wife yet, fiance, but if you're happy off track, you're more likely to perform well on track. Or if you're happy away from your professional life, in your personal life, you're more likely to be happier in your professional life as well. Hamilton could have overtaken Russell if he hadn't lost time behind Leclerc. 100% he could have done. And also he could have, if the VSC didn't come out at the time that he did, I think he would have had an opportunity on that run. So, what do I mean by new wife? He is engaged. He is engaged to his partner. Not Nico, I'm talking George Russell. Was having high hopes for Tsunoda points today, but it's okay. I didn't have him on my fantasy team. No, look, Tsunoda did a tremendous job this weekend, and he would have scored points if it wasn't for a brilliant strategy call by Aston Martin and Fernando Alonso executing that strategy as well, because he did the longest amount of laps on any tyres today. 32 laps or so, I think it was, on the softs, and he did 37 laps on the mediums, I think it was. So, like, a tremendous amount of laps or on the hards. He did, like, a one-stop. I think he was the only driver to do a one-stop out there. Fernando Alonso did tremendously well. But, yeah, thank you, everyone. I'm going to call it there. What could be a solution to Mercedes in Monza? There is no solution. I think even with a brand new engine in the back of the car and having a 10-place grid penalty, I think Kimi will steam it. I think Mercedes will steam it. But it'd be interesting to see whether McLaren have made improvements in that area, because their pace at Spa was good as well. It's a shame that Lando did start where he started, because obviously he took an engine penalty. But I think it'll be interesting to see how close McLaren will be to Mercedes. But Mercedes are undoubtedly the strongest and the favourites going into Monza in a couple of weeks' time. But there we go. What about next year's lineups for teams? Any predictions? My predictions are that I think there will be maybe only one change of driver on the grid next year, which is probably maybe Esteban Ocon's. I don't think there's going to be any change. I think even VCARB will be the same as next year. I think Hadjar will be there, and I think Lawson and Lindblad will be in VCARB for at least another year. So, yeah, I think it's going to be the same lineups for next year. Right, on that note, guys, little one's crying. Little one's crying. What's up? You can have Pepper on the TV here. What's up? Bless her. She wants Peppa Pig on TV, that's what it is. We'll turn F1 off. Okay, it's over with now. Right, have a lovely rest of your evening, guys. Driver ratings will be out this evening, so be sure to have your notifications turned on so that you don't miss that. I'll be running through, of course, the whole weekend of each driver. Lots to review. So, yeah, be sure to obviously hit that like button on your way out. And, of course, thank you for the 90,000 subscribers on our way to 100,000. We head to Monza in a couple of weeks' time, the 4th of September. Of course, I will still provide you some content in between that period. So, yeah, we will see you then. Thank you, everyone. Bye.